ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Who ate the whole apple? What happened?
I don't know.
Allah ate it. Allah ate it.
Because he was too stupid.
Excuses.
Thousands. Who ate the apple? What happened?
All right. We are live. Welcome back to Reasoned Answers, everyone. Your home for
crackhead clown individuals.
It's been a bit, sort of. I did have one stream while I was in Boston, but didn't have my setup. So this is the first time you can trigger the dancing cat and all the other things in a while here. Also the first time that get to interact with Mary in some time.
She has some scary intellectual abilities to pour through massive amounts of sources and information, and is pretty brutal. If she weren't so busy doing other stuff, I think she would be wrecking Islam by herself.
Welcome back, Mary. What are we talking about today?
Well, today we are going to talk about a pilgrimage. Actually, not in terms of the Hajj, but rather the Hijrah, the immigration type of pilgrimage, rather than pilgrimage that's seasonal. So similar to the pilgrims who came to America for the reason of faith, there is a concept in Islam that those who move on account of faith or having to do with their faith have a special position, that they're super special. But here's the issue. According to Allah's own theology, that should actually disqualify them from being any kind of follower of a true prophet. Instead, it should show that they were false prophets because Allah failed to defend them in their homelands. They had to leave because they were expelled, which is contrary to what Allah spent many years telling people in Mecca was going to happen.
So people are pointing out that the bot, quote unquote, has a new name, not intentionally. It's always been its at, and now it's displaying as the at instead of its screen name. So now it's Reasoned Answers bot instead of RA bot. I might have to change its at since YouTube has decided not to display people's names in a live chat anymore. Of course, it is Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States. So happy Thanksgiving to all those who are Americans. And for the rest of the world, well, you still get to benefit from the sales and whatnot from Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving.
How about a computer for a kid in college?
Yes. Of course, the Pilgrims coming to America is a major part of our history, but the Hijrah is an even larger part of the history of Islam. The calendar for Americans doesn't begin at the date of the pilgrimage, but the Islamic calendar begins at the day of Hijrah, or the year of Hijrah. So if you see AH, that's after Hijrah, right? So the Islamic calendar is marked by this crucial event. And as Mary points out, this event seems to disprove Allah, or at least disprove Muhammad and the claims he was making about what a true prophet would look like. So in honor of Thanksgiving weekend, we're looking at the other pilgrimage, that of Muhammad and his companions. Go ahead and pull up Mary's presentation here.
All right, thank you. Oh, and I wanted to let everybody know that I have recorded a video documenting 17, only 17, there's so many more, of of Islamic origins, instances of academic fraud. I'm going to be editing that with some visuals, and that will be coming out as a joint thing between on my channel and Thaddeus's channel. So just wanted to let everybody know.
So Talmudic Tunnel says, watched the 2 junior debates. Those made my IQ closer to Daniel's dream. Indeed, watching Muslim content does tend to lower your IQ and get you closer to the ideal Muslim. The more intelligent you are, the more likely you are to leave Islam. Not according to me, according to Daniel. And thus, low IQs are good. They're what Allah desires. He desires people who are incapable of thinking. But if you're capable of thinking, then you will quickly see the huge problem in the Islamic sources, including the problem we're looking at today. There are dozens of irrefutable dilemmas. It only takes one to disprove Islam.
Indeed. All right. In late Medinan theology, as I mentioned before, those who migrate are the best of believers. Any believer who moves from one place to another related to their faith is mujahirun, which is like an immigrant, and that's an excellent position to have. In fact, for years after the death of Muhammad, that was the title that people who went to slaughter and murder people in other lands and take over their lands gave themselves. Oh, I have left my homeland on account of religion, so I have a special position as an immigrant, and I should pay less taxes, etc., etc. So, but this was not so in the early theology. In the earliest theology, there was a very simple set of possibilities. What the basic conflict between the prophets who came to their own people in their own language and the unbelievers is that the unbelievers would try to expel the prophets. They would try to throw them out, and they would always be unsuccessful. When they tried to throw them out, what would happen was Allah would send temporal destruction through divine judgment and kill all the people who were opposing the prophet and his followers. So we were talking about how the only people who will fear are the unbelievers, that the believers will not fear, they will not sorrow. Why? Because when the unbelievers oppose them and try to throw them out, Allah will strike them down and leave the believers to take everything over. Later on, this developed a little bit so that, well, sometimes maybe they could succeed temporarily in throwing out the believers, but that was just like a precursor to Allah sending divine judgment. So you can toss them out, and like as they're on the road, just in moments after, very, very short order, what will happen? Allah will send his divine judgment to wipe them out. So, under the first scheme, a successful expulsion is just a sign that these are false believers, that they're not following a real prophet. Under the second scheme, the fact that Mecca was not divinely smited by Allah very shortly after the believers left, or ever, is proof that they are false believers and Muhammad is a false prophet. But then, guess what happened? Allah never showed up. Allah broke all of his promises, all the patterns that were supposedly established by the previous prophets. And just, by the way, just like the patterns of prophets going to their own people, this was muddled and wrong from the beginning. But Muhammad was revising his theology. He's like, oh, did I say Allah would destroy people? I meant Allah will use us to destroy them. So they're scattered. He changed his modus operandi. And he didn't mean what he said before. It's all good. This is truly the way.
Oh,
So-
Allah does do that. He'll say one thing and then he'll say something else, and then people will point out that's a contradiction, and Allah will be like, "That's because I have abrogated the original command."
But the funny thing is, he never actually consciously abrogates it. So you have all of these pieces still hanging on and standing, and you can't abrogate history anyway. It's all incoherent. It's all nonsense. This alone disproves Islam, because Muhammad was running around screaming that they aren't going to throw him out. You can't throw them out, because whenever people try to throw the prophets out, they're destroyed immediately. Or okay, maybe if they succeed for a moment, then Allah comes and sends destruction upon a city. Remember, every city will be visited by destruction before the end times in relation to some people rejecting a prophet. Whenever we were talking about the messenger to their own city and the fear and all of that, that was part of the teaching. So according to the Quran, according to Muhammad, according to Allah, Mecca cannot escape this. It has to be every city visited by this destruction. And Mecca had not yet been visited by its prophet or its destruction. And it never did get visited, because most places don't have a natural disaster occur that destroys them. And the kinds of things that are allowed to be within this category are things like huge fires, huge winds, stones from the sky, earthquakes, floods. All of those things would count. So, for example, you could say New Orleans has been destroyed, visited by this kind of destruction before, but you can't realistically say that El Paso has. So just as a category. So we're going to talk about the failure of Allah to live up to his promises and the certainty that Muhammad is a false prophet in the most important event in Islamic history as far as its historical event. The most important historical event is the Hijrah. It's that from which everything is dated. And yet, what have we got? We have them numbering Islam after something that disproves Islam.
So Talmudic Tunnels says, I can't believe people back then were this stupid. I would say that there was a good portion of Muhammad's followers that didn't really believe in him as a prophet or whatever. It was just financially convenient or politically convenient for them to follow him, either because they're under threat or because they benefited from it. But it does cast some serious doubt on anyone who would say that an intelligent conspiracy created this religion, because why are they making up all these stupid things that contradict one another and disprove the religion if this is some kind of grand conspiracy later on, as opposed to a false prophet saying stupid stuff because he is a false prophet.
Right. And this appeared at around the same time that the emphasis on the painful punishment from Allah appeared. They appear together, and they appear in reference to Muhammad himself being threatened at being ejected from Mecca. Before this threat appeared, around probably 616 or so, you don't have this. But once this threat appears, then that Muhammad is going to get thrown out, because remember, some of the other people who were troublemakers in Mecca had already been thrown out. You get to be too much of a troublemaker, they'll just expel you. So he made up this theology of, all the prophets are like me. They come with their own language to their own people. Some of them follow. The other ones try to oppose them and try to throw them out. But Allah comes and smites the ones who oppose the prophet. So you shouldn't throw me out, because when you try to do that, then Allah will destroy you. So this disproves Islam itself. It also disproves Muhammad mythicism, both.
Mhm.
So,
Yes, so
and
the
the
answer to
reason,
your question is yes. Both both of them are disproven.
right. And the reason it disproves Mohammed mythicism is because this is a theology that develops and contradicts itself within the Quran. You have these different phases of things that are occurring, and Muhammad is reacting to his circumstances and creates these incoherent, ridiculous, contradictory theologies because he's a real person in a real place at a real time. And although I'm not going to be reading everything that I put up, I will make the it's not all text. I will at least read out the surah number and it's the verse number,
Mhm.
so that you can know where to find these things in the Quran so that you can follow along. I'm putting everything up in the traditional Tanzil order. So basically, what order the Islamic scholars believe the Quran to be revealed in. I don't think they got everything entirely correct, but broad strokes, it's generally pretty good. It's generally pretty reliable, their revelation order. And you'll notice the first time this expulsion theology shows up, it's in Surah 7, but it's the 39th surah to be revealed according to traditional Islamic scholarship, basically. So Muhammad's been running around for years at this point, hasn't said a peep about anybody trying to expel anyone. And then suddenly, whenever they go, we should just throw this guy out, he's causing too many problems. Suddenly, he has all this information about other prophets whom people try to expel. In Surah 7, that's the one that has the fullest development of the divine, painful torment. I love his redundancy, the painful torment theology from Allah, and also has this list of prophets who supposedly mirror Muhammad. And partway through, suddenly we get this expulsion theology showing up. The first time it shows up is in reference to Lot. And so Lot is chiding his people about indecency, and then his people reply. And the only answer of his people was that they said, expel them, Lot and his family, from your city. Surely there are folk that keep themselves clean. So the only reason that anybody would throw any of these people out is that they're evil, that the people who reject the prophets are evil and the prophets are good. So the evil people hate the good people because the evil people are filthy and they want to get rid of these clean people. There we go. And that's your first exegesis of this theology of expulsion, is that these evil, dirty people won't like those who are clean and follow Allah. And just question, Thaddeus.
Mm-hmm.
First, is Lot from Sodom and Gomorrah?
He is not.
Okay, so already we've got a problem. Second, did the people of Sodom and Gomorrah want to throw Lot out? Did they want to expel him at any point?
No, they did not.
No, they did not. They did not.
But I have a question for
Yes.
you before you go on. For these clean people, are they cleaning themselves with water only? No soap allowed?
Well, they are cleaning themselves with water only, and no water will make them, or dust. You can clean yourself with dirt too, but there is nothing in water that can make it impure. So they could be cleaning themselves with like the filthiest water imaginable, and they would be the clean ones. And that was so offensive to these people of Sodom and Gomorrah that they wanted to kick them out.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, probably if they're bathing in like filthy, disgusting, stinky water, that they'd be like, we're so clean, and they'd be like, you smell disgusting, get out of here. Like, no, we're clean. Allah says we're clean.
Maybe that's it. But continuing on, and then immediately after this one, it's really interesting because even as he's telling these stories, this pops up in the middle. But the next story has the exact same element. The next story is Shuaib, still in Surah 7. And You have Schwabe saying, you need to follow Allah, blah, 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 blah. You need, though Allah will judge between those who believe and those who don't. Then you get another element, a council. Once again, you get a council, because remember, it's the mullahs of Mecca who are really wanting to throw Muhammad out. The Council of Mecca is coming together and going, we've got to get rid of this guy. So of course, whenever Muhammad comes across this, well, now Schwabe, the Midianite, he has his own council. I don't know why there is an official council in an area that was at that time like had no cities, or even like large towns, but okay, fine. And the council, the mullahs, say, surely we will expel thee, O Schwabe, and those who believe with thee from our city. And then Schwabe claps back. And then the council tells the people, if you follow Schwabe, you will be in that case, you will surely be among the losers. But what happened? The earthquake seized them and they were destroyed. Oh, and I forgot to mention, of course, with Lot immediately after this, as they were threatening to expel them, what happens? We rain down upon them a rain. So behold thou, how is the end of the sinners? So the punishing rain came that destroyed all the sinners. Now, again, the council is just talking about expelling him. They've agreed upon it, but they haven't done it. And what happens? The earthquake seizes them. They're destroyed. So, again, this is the early version. The early version is you even talk about throwing them out and you get destroyed. Mm-hmm. Then a little bit later, so in the same surah, again, now we're back at Moses. And by the way, Moses is supposed to be like after most of these other guys because Muhammad had no sense of history. But we have Moses coming, and this is revised. You'll see why it's revised in a second. He comes in front of Fir'aun, and he says what? He says to Pharaoh, I have brought a clear sign to you from your Lord, so send forth with me the children of Israel. You would think that would mean send them out, we're all going to leave. But what happens next is that he has the sign with the serpent and the staff, and then said the council of the people of Pharaoh, after the sign with the staff, surely this man is a cunning sorcerer who desires to expel you from your land. So even though he's coming, and in the revised and edited version, and keep in mind, there's a certain level of stupid that you can have in a text the text can just be that stupid. This level of stupid is not something that is inherent to the text. This stupid became inserted because Muhammad did not know that Moses and Pharaoh, that Moses was from the children of Israel at first, and Pharaoh was from the Egyptians, and they were different people. He believed they were the same people, and he didn't know that Moses was asking Pharaoh to send out their people, which would be like expulsion, would be letting them go, right? You know, in English, we often say, let my people go, but it actually means, in Hebrew, it's actually send out my people, send them out. So this actually, like the narrative itself conflicts with Muhammad's theology. And so he had to like go back in there and insert it. And this messes up with the flow of everything, because you have all of these places where they're like, surely he desires to expel you, but instead we will have a contest and, you know, we're going to see who's going to be the one who's expelled, which is incoherent, because if you want to use the word expulsion, what does Moses actually want in the real narrative? To be expelled. He wants to be sent out. He wants to be gone with his people. But we still have this moment where the council's like, oh, surely he's trying to expel you, O Pharaoh, from the land. and we shall have a contest and we shall see who will be the one to be expelled. Ha ha! which is
Mhm.
just completely incoherent. But again, these are editing marks because
So Moses
Yeah.
says, "Let my people go." In other words,
Uh-huh.
expel us. And then
Uh-huh.
Allah's like, "If you expel them, I will destroy you."
Yeah, basically. But and the council's like immediately, oh, they want to expel you. Like the council's like, this man's a cunning sorcerer. He wants to expel you. What from what anything that Moses has said in this would lead you to think that? Well, nothing would. Nothing would, because that part is a later addition. The earlier portion is surely this man is a cunning sorcerer who desires to expel you from your land, because it fits with everything that comes before and after. And it fits with them being one people who got divided, not that they are foreigners residing there for now who have been enslaved.
So we got a couple clarifications. AH Bespoke said, "Did you say Shuay?" So that would be Shuaib. with the B.
Shuaib.
Shuaib. Potato Sandwich put it in the chat there for you. So Blind Vision wants to know where you can find Mary's work. Is it all on your channel? Does she have her own? So there is a link to Mary's channel in the video description, and that's where the video she referenced earlier will be published perhaps tomorrow. Don't know for certain exactly when that will be out, but very shortly. It'll be done as a collab, so it'll show up on my feed as well, but it will technically be on her channel if you're looking to check that out.
Yeah, I have only 2 scripted videos on my own channel because they're a lot of work to edit. And then I have 2 live streams I did really briefly whenever Thaddeus was like not streaming hardly at all for a short while. So I only have 4 videos up on my entire channel. Most of my work is here.
Right. So the vast majority is found on this channel, but a link to her channel is in the video description. Breakfast Gun says, "Wait a second, I can clean myself with dirt? I'm about to save a lot of money on my water bills." Exactly. Switch to dirt and save 20%.
Now, I didn't know this, but if you check out Defending a Lion's channel, he's doing really great work on the Talmud, and I'm not doing much contributing to their translation project, but I'm in the Discord server and I'm helping out as they go along. Like when I see things in the chat, I just haven't had time to do like a lot of work on it. But he informed me, I didn't realize this, that cleansing yourself with dust when there is no water available is actually an option in Judaism if you have absolutely no water available. But Muslims just really make use of that a whole lot more. So, yeah.
And a super chat from Pants Schmance.
Brothers and sisters, why to lose this great opportunity? Remember, when the person is on his deathbed, the last minute, he will ask Allah Jalla wa'ala to be delayed for 1 second to do what? Not to pray, not to do other things, but to give sadaqah, because sadaqah you can give it just like this, in 1 second.
Pantsman says, "Hello, fellow Mutadim." That is the plural of respect, of course. That is how you know that we are prophets. Thank you very much for.
Oh no, Murtad, apostates.
Yeah, I know, but we're the right, because it's Muhammad, right? Muhammad gets the plural of respect because he's a prophet. So I'm saying we get even though we're apostates, we get the plural of respect.
Yep.
For being great apostates, prophetic apostates, perhaps. Oops. Who knows? Why to lose? Indeed, why to lose?
And of course, Muhammad's favorite of all the prophets was, of course, Moses. It's the one he knew the least about originally in terms of like actually getting things wrong, but that may have been because he just said more about him. And he continuously repeated these same ideas of this expulsion competition while having the statement, "Send me out with the children of Israel," shoehorned at the beginning. This happens multiple times because he fixed them all. You can fix the way the Quran was developed. Muhammad was able to fix things he had erred in by adding to it.
Mhm.
But if it was within a longer text, he couldn't just subtract out a little part. If he hadn't put a portion into a larger surah that people were reciting, then he could just like delete it entirely by not reciting it. Like the breastfeeding verses, they never got stuck into another surah so they could be sent down the memory hole. But these can't because they're embedded already. And so all he can do is add to it to try to change the meaning. So we have here in Surah 18, which was the 45th of the Meccan surahs. So like 6 surahs later, a narrative, the narrative again of Moses, where Allah is saying to him, "Go to Pharaoh and then speak gently to him that perhaps he might be mindful or perchance fear." So at this point, Pharaoh can change his mind because this is before Abu Talib died. As soon as Abu Talib died, he gets fate. Before that, people choose or don't choose. And then Moses and Aaron are like, but he might get mad. And then Allah says, "Don't worry, I will be with you, hearing and seeing." And now, here is the insertion. I want you to see how bad the editing is here. What happened? He just said, "Go to Pharaoh, blah, 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 blah. Oh, our Lord, we're afraid. Don't worry, I'll be with you." Then he goes, "Go to Pharaoh." This is a repetition. Why is this a repetition? Because he needs to change what the instructions are. Now it says, "No longer are you going to, so that haply he may be mindful or perchance fear." You're not hoping that he repents, but instead, "We are messengers of thy Lord, so send forth with us, the children of Israel," etc., etc. "And we brought this sign from thy Lord," etc., etc. So, and that the chastisement will come to all of those who deny and turn their backs. And then all of a sudden we have a scene switch, and Pharaoh is now speaking. He says, "Who is your Lord, Moses?" So something happened in here. Bad editing. "Who is your Lord, Moses?" And then he talks about, and then they go back and forth with a really cringe attempt at a theological discussion. And Moses goes, and then Pharaoh rejects him. And notice during the theological discussion, Moses actually forgets to say, "Send us out with the children of Israel." He never brings this up at all. And this editing, this only gets inserted in Allah's mouth, and then Moses forgets to say it. And then the signs were revealed, the staff in the hand and all of that. And then now Pharaoh speaks. He says, "Have you come, Moses, to expel us out of our land with your sorcery? We will assuredly bring a sorcery that's similar to it. Therefore, appoint a meeting time between us and a place mutually agreeable. And now we're going to have this magic battle." So this time it's Pharaoh saying that you're coming to expel us. But again, the expulsion theology, it's now a competition of expulsion. And it continues. They have their there's like this interlude, and then Pharaoh's people, his council, are talking about what they'd just seen and everything. And they say, "These two men are sorcerers, and their purpose is to expel you, Pharaoh, out of your land by their sorcery, and to extirpate you your justiced way." So, or to extirpate your justice way, basically, to get rid of your deen, to get rid of your religion. So gather your guile, then come in the battle line. and then they're going to have their big battle thing. So I just wanted to point out again, they have their battle at high noon. They're having their battle at high noon, and it's about whoever wins should be casted out.
Mm-hmm.
And this also is a theology that, okay, there is a potential that the bad guys could win. But if the bad guys win and get you expelled, it's because you have fallen into their sin. And Muhammad connects that to the expulsion of Adam from the garden. Allah says to Adam, surely Iblis is an enemy to you and your wife, because Allah doesn't know her name. So let him not expel you both from the garden so that you're unprosperous. So this becomes a story of Adam and Eve falling away from following God to follow those among the expelled, to becoming categorized as the expelled through their unfaithfulness. So the unfaithful lose, the unfaithful are expelled or are destroyed, while the faithful are not expelled in this early theology.
So who was the true group of Allah followers that were allowed to stay in the garden?
Apparently none. Well, I mean, there are stories where the people kill a prophet and then they all get destroyed. So maybe it's kind of the equivalent to that.
Yeah, it could be. Okay, so what I was chuckling about earlier here, we got Tawhid Islam with this absolute genius statement. Those who wipe their ass with paper is unhygienic and could cause cancer in the ass. Tawhid Islam. I know that you probably heard some dumb Muslim preacher tell you this, and you probably didn't come up with it on your own. But do tell me the scientific study that says toilet paper causes cancer, because it doesn't exist. You've been lied to, and you're repeating nonsense.
And by the way,
religion.
You guys are following Muhammad, are touching your butthole with wet hands, with water hands, but you're not using soap. Soap is not prophetic. So you have horrible problems with fecal oral contamination in your restaurants, in your markets, and you bring fecal oral diseases to the Hajj. There are outbreaks of cholera, which is a disease that was basically eliminated in the West in the 19th century. Originally,
we lost you there, Mary. Oh, we totally lost her. She actually disconnected. Well. So what Mary was, Tawhid Islam, what Mary was saying is that when you clean with water, yes, you can get dirt off, you can get poop off, but the bacteria stays behind. And you've just used your hands, which you used to eat, to wash yourself, get the visible dirt off. And now your hands are covered with fecal bacteria. And then you go and you prepare your food and you wash your hands with water and the bacteria stays there. And then you serve that food and then you spread cholera. You spread a disease that has been eliminated from the West, from the civilized world, because you believe in the prophet who says that water is pure. Water is very clean. It will clean you no matter what. In fact, you could use water that is filled with menstrual cloths and dead animals. And there's going to be all kinds of bacteria growing in that water. But according to Muhammad, it is pure. It is clean. And you know what, Muhammad, you know where all this comes from? Muhammad heard about ritual purity in sects of Judaism and said that, okay, ritually clean means clean, right? So that means that I can wash myself with the dirtiest water you ever found, and it will all be clean, it'll be pure. And for that reason, following Muhammad's example, to this day, Muslim nations, Muslim restaurants in the West included, they will, in fact, spread this disease. So Tawhid Islam, you said, when you wipe your ass with tissue paper, some shit remains stuck in orifice. So in the long run, it may cause cancer. When you wash with water, it clears shit, and use soap after. What do you mean use soap? That's not what Muhammad said. Muhammad didn't say anything about using soap. You are innovating. You're committing bid'ah. Muhammad said that water is pure. It's clean. It doesn't matter. Anyone who says it's not pure and clean, just water, is nonsense. Also, you're making up this nonsense about cancer.
Yes,
That doesn't
that's
exist.
not true. That's like saying that you have cancer inside your rectum because it's all dirty. No. And here's the thing. Imagine that people are just walking around smelling like poo. And honestly, who is it who has a reputation for stinking, hun? Where are they from? Are they from America? Are they from Europe? No, they're Pakistanis, bluntly, above pretty much anyone else, have a reputation for having a certain odor that is offensive to people of all other cultures. So no, you aren't super incredibly clean. But they don't walk around smelling like poo. But imagine that what happens is your options are either you get the poo on your hand by wiping it with your hand with water through friction, or else it just a little bit stays on your butt. Where do the germs end up? If they stay on your butt, then are they getting people sick and killing people? No,
I mean,
you just have a dirty gut.
Not unless you're like literally kissing one another's butts or something.
Mud, they did not use mud on their butts. Dirt is not hygienic, and it does not kill cancer. Soap did exist at this time.
This genius is like, soap didn't exist. First of all, it did exist, right?
Yes,
Soap has existed since ancient times, so it did exist at the time of Muhammad. And then he thinks that mud kills bacteria.
I know, right? I don't even know what to say. You guys are like infecting people with cholera today, and you want to scream about how wonderfully hygienic you are. It is so bizarre. It's like, we treat women well. We also beat them and have sex with them when they're little kids. We are the most hygienic in the world. We are also, a number of our folks are known for their very strong odor. And we continuously spread cholera around the world. That is what we're known for. We gave the world cholera in the first place, and we continue to spread it. In the 21st century, we're still eating our own poop. We haven't figured out how to not eat our poop in the 21st century, when anyone who's civilized figured it out in the 19th. How to keep the poo away from the water that you drink and away from the food. That's the point. All right.
Yeah, I think that Tawhid Islam is definitely proving Daniel's point about the lower the IQ, the more you love Islam, because this is some of the stupidest stuff I've ever heard. And keep in mind, he didn't have to bring any of this up. Right? He chose to bring this up as like his grand proof that Islam is so great that toilet paper causes cancer. And you should use mud instead. You should use mud to clean yourself.
I don't even know. I mean, there was a while I didn't download it. I guess I deleted it because it was like not culturally sensitive enough. But for a while, the NIH in Britain had a special alert about how important it is to teach Muslims to use soap, because they were making so many people sick in restaurants by getting poop in the food and getting people sick and killing them. Like, and there was an actual alert from them.
Once again, Tawhid Islam, go ahead and do a search When was soap invented? It was long before the time of Muhammad. Muhammad didn't use it. It is bid'ah to use it today. You are innovating. You're saying you know better than the prophet.
Yep. All right. So, I mean, that's why you didn't use your left hand for anything, because it's your poop hand. Can't use your left
Yep.
hand because it's covered in poop. And then people eventually have to use their left hand to like move stuff around or whatever. And then that's how you get poop in the food. All right.
Mhm.
So going back to the surahs, why am I combining English plurals with Arabic pronunciation? I don't know. But back to the Meccan surat, the number 26 is the 47th surah in the traditional order. And it continues with this similar theology. So this is, once again, Muhammad's favorite prophet Moses, where Allah is saying, go both of you, Aaron and Moses, go with their signs, go to Pharaoh and say, so send us forth the children of Israel. And that portion is the edit and insertion again. Before that, they get previous instructions that aren't the same way. And again, Moses doesn't actually ever say this in this encounter. So he's told to say this, but he doesn't actually say it when he goes in front of Pharaoh. And then you have your usual signs. And then again, the council going, surely this man is a cunning sorcerer. Oh, yes, I forgot. Muhammad even tells them to lick their fingers after they eat. So,
because there's a blessing hidden in the food.
That has surely touched
blessing
your
of
left
cholera.
hand at some point, right? Your right hand that has surely touched your left hand at some point is now being licked.
Yeah, there's the blessing of cholera hidden somewhere in the food, and you don't know if you'll get
Yeah.
the cholera from eating the food or if you have to lick the fingers. So make sure to get that. And remember, it is a blessing to get a disease and suffer.
Yep.
Hence, Muhammad, fleas be upon him.
Oh, and Muhammad flees be upon him. Indeed says that. And he even says you're a martyr if you die from an intestinal disease similar to
Yes, I forgot that. That's so perfect.
Yeah.
That's intestinal disease, right? Exactly the kind of disease that you get from eating poop. So it is a blessing. You get to be a martyr because
Dysentery,
of Muhammad's lack of hygiene.
Yep, a dysentery-like disease or a cholera-like disease is gives you the benefit of martyrdom. So there you go.
Thank you, Tawhid Islam, for coming in here and promoting the beauty of Islam for us all today.
Yep.
We have now learned that Allah blesses people by giving them cholera, by having poor hygiene so that they can become martyrs.
Yep. And by the way, there are certain plants that have gosh, I'm losing the word. They're saponification esters or whatever in them that do produce suds that have both polar and non-polar qualities the way soaps do, that were known from very ancient times in the Indian subcontinent.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you have Muhammad ignorant of that, ignorant of soap, which had been invented in Europe. There were both traditional soap from that and other soap type substances that were known at that time. But nope. Allah tells you to wash with water in your hand and spread dysentery to everyone.
He insists that they are the most hygienic people. So, Tawhid Islam, I want you to follow Muhammad's example and get cholera or another fecal-borne disease so that you can die as a martyr like Muhammad's blessings are intended. You can die as a martyr and go straight to Jannah. You don't have to wait for all the torture in the grave and walking over your little terrifying little bridge to see if you make it or not. You just go straight to heaven because you got cholera from following Muhammad's fecal practices. So I think you should definitely take Muhammad's advice. Please be upon him.
And washing with the minimum water possible. And by washing, I mean splashing water upon you, which does absolutely nothing for armpit stink. Absolutely nothing. So the only folks who are known for smelling nice basically took traditions that were Roman and Greek and adopted them. They were not using native traditions. And the folks who didn't adopt these Greek and Roman traditions are the ones who come into an elevator and your eyes begin to water. So,
and as Houston points out, when you do wudu with no soap, of course, because Muhammad would have never used soap, then you migrate the bacteria from your poop wipe hand to your food eat hand. This is the beauty of Islam.
Yep. All right. So we will stop talking about, I mean, like, if you've ever been on public transportation around the world, you know who smells good and who doesn't. You do. We're playing games if we pretend we don't. All right. So.
All right. That is enough of your amazing testimony for Islam, Mr. Tawheed Islam. It's time to get on subject now. But thank you for coming in and illustrating this for us. Again, it wasn't the subject. You didn't have to do this, but you thought it was some great argument. So thank you for that.
You'd think if Allah were really concerned and really loved the Arabs more than anyone else, that he would have given Arabs the wonder genes that produce lower body odor that the East Asians got, because that's like a superpower. It really is. But Beware Greeks bearing said, well, the Greeks just use olive oil, but it would dissolve all of the oil on the body, and you'd be able to strip it off. So they would dissolve the oil-based stink and strip it off with a strigil. I actually have a strigil. I love my strigil. Strigils are awesome. They're massively underappreciated. All right. So we're turning to Moses. Moses completely forgets to tell Pharaoh what Allah has told him to tell him, because again, this is a later edit. This is a later insertion. And we have Pharaoh speaking to his council now, saying, surely this man is a cunning sorcerer who desires to expel you from the land by his sorcery. What do you command? So apparently now the council is in charge, and now it's the council who's going to be thrown out. But anyway, and now it's the Pharaoh who knows about the expulsion, not the council. But they declare, put him and his brother off a while, and then we'll go and we'll have our big battle, and we'll see who's the one who gets expelled. So once again, the expulsion is the bad thing that happens. The expulsion is what Moses wants to do. This whole sending out stuff, this is a later edit that is put in to make Muhammad look like he knew somewhat what he was talking about. But the original theology is the expulsion. So then various events happen, and it says, Pharaoh sent among his cities musters to bring people together. Behold, these are small troop, and indeed they're enraging us, and we are a host on our guard. So we're big, they're small, we're going to destroy them. Then it says, so we, Allah, expelled them, who? Pharaoh's people, from gardens and fountains and treasures and a noble station. So who got expelled in this? Pharaoh's people, Pharaoh's folk. The Egyptians were expelled from their land. Even so, we bequeath them upon the children of Israel. Who inherited this? Children of Israel. So in the original version,
maybe originally the Egyptians and the Israelites were in what's now Israel, and then the Egyptians were expelled and went to what became Egypt. Maybe that's how it worked.
Actually, it gets better. Apparently, Egypt is the coast of North Africa, because all of the hadith material, all the hadith material that has this Moses in it, has him sailing around the ocean, And remember, he gets tossed onto the ocean. This is not the Nile River, and he is not put in a basket and hidden among the reeds. No, he's just yeeted straight into the ocean. In one version, he doesn't even get a basket. His mom just throws the baby on the ocean because the law tells her to. No basket. Then later on, gets a basket and gets thrown onto the ocean, and then the waves like wash him up on the shore. But this is the coast of North Africa, and there's another part that says after this, the children of Israel are carried over the ocean. So what happens is Egypt is on the coast of North Africa and not up the Nile. And across the coast of North Africa, the Egyptians get expelled entirely. The children of Israel inherit it. Then they just leave it, sail over the ocean, and go into the promised land. So that is the original narrative according to Muhammad's mixed up mind. So...
And it makes total sense. That's why we today have the nation of Israel that is in the Nile Delta region, as we all know, because the Egyptians got expelled from that region and the children of Israel inherited it. And Allah is a big fan of Israel. He says that he's the God of Israel and that he protects Israel and whatnot. Yep. I don't know why Muslims think otherwise. I don't know why Muslims hate Israel so much. But according to the Quran, Allah is a big fan of Israel.
He is indeed. So continuing through the same, and this is the one called
sorry, Mary. Baby Moses can be used as a flotation device.
Apparently so. It's just so disturbing. Like, she just throws the baby in and then she gets worried about him later on. And Allah's like, what, do you not trust me? I'm like, I don't know. Like, doesn't seem like you're a very trustworthy dude to me.
Yeah, just throw your baby in the water.
So I said, this is like a drunk history remembered by a kid who slept through Sunday school. Yeah, pretty much. So continuing in the same surah, which is called the Poets, we go back to Lot again. And the people of Lot, they cried lies to the messengers when their brother Lot said to them, will you not be God-fearing? For I'm a faithful messenger, blah, blah, blah. Obey me, etc., etc. Why are you having sex with men? And then they said, if you don't give up Lot, then you will be one of the expelled. We're going to throw you up. If you don't, throw you out. If you don't stop telling us what to do, you're going to be thrown out. And they go and talk to one another, like, have their oral argument back and forth. And then we delivered Lot and his people all together, except for an old woman among them who tarried, and we destroyed the others. We rained on them a rain.
Wait, is
again,
this old woman supposed to be Lot's wife? Or
yeah, he didn't even remember who Lot's wife was. They just like an old woman.
Except for some old woman.
Yeah, some random old woman. All the rest of his followers, all the rest of the folk of Lot, the people of Lot, all of his faithful followers, who Muhammad doesn't know. Anyway, they all got saved, and who got destroyed? The ones who wanted to expel them. Surely, and that is a sign, yet most of them are not believers. Yes, that is the verse that you get that from. So it is a sign that they tried to throw out Lot, and instead Allah destroyed them. So then it says, toward the, as it continues on, so what do you think? If we give them enjoyment of days for many years, then there comes on them what they were promised, the divine wrath, the punishment, then what will help them? We've never destroyed a city except that it had mourners as a reminder. So we never did wrong. So it hasn't, no city has been destroyed by the Satans. Rather, we're the ones who destroyed everything, and we destroyed it after warners came and people rejected us. Truly, they are expelled from hearing, so do not call upon another God with Allah in case you are one of those who are chastised. So, Muhammad, you might be among those who are chastised and, expelled from hearing if you do this. So here's a warning to be faithful so that you're not among the people who are punished with those who try to expel the righteous ones. Then in the next surah, again, this time we have Solomon. We have the Solomon story with the Queen of Sheba. And in this one, the Queen of Sheba is a faithless pagan. And then the hoopoe bird or whatever it's called, the magical bird comes into, well, it's not a magical bird, it's a regular bird. All birds can talk. Solomon can talk to birds because he has been given the power. Birds just talk, according to Muslims, according to Allah. But Solomon gets the power to be able to understand the things that birds are already saying to one another. And so he hears the report of the Queen of Sheba, and he sends a letter to her telling her to basically serve him. So the Queen of Sheba says, and of course he doesn't know her name either because he doesn't know anybody's names. Oh, council, again, the mullahs, notice a pattern. See, a letter, an honorable letter has been sent to me. It's from Solomon, and it is in the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate. Rise up not against me, but come to me and surrender. Yeah, I'd call that an honorable letter, wouldn't you? To like have an unconditional surrender letter sent to you. But whatever, we're following Islam here. And she said, "O council, O mullahs, pronounce to me concerning my affair. I'm not used to deciding an affair unless you guys agree with me." And they say, "Well, we're the stronger ones. We're super strong, but we'll do whatever you command." Mm-hmm. And she says that kings, when they come into a city, they come into a city in conquest. They humiliate the inhabitants, including the mighty ones. And this guy I've never heard of before, he will totally do that to me. So I will send them a present and see what the messengers bring back because I don't want to be invaded. But then when a messenger comes to Solomon, Solomon goes, "What? Would you give me wealth when Allah has given me even better things than what he's given you? No, you rejoice in the gift I'm giving you and return, and we will come against them with hosts till they have not power to resist. So you can't give us a present because we're going to give you a present and then we're going to kill you all, basically." And so he declares to his own council, "Which one of you will bring me her throne before they come to me and surrender?" And then a jinn comes because apparently his mullahs include jinns. That's what I always keep in my council. If I'm a good guy, I have Ifrit and jinns and sorceress demons and stuff, and they just hang around me, right? And one of the jinns say that I will totally bring this throne to you. And
Why not?
And in this one, notice for the first time we have an idea that a human righteous, quote unquote, in the Islamic sense, human can expel a person. This is the first time that you get this idea. And if this is the correct order of these surahs. So you begin to have the seed of an idea that a righteous political power can expel the unrighteous in this particular passage. Mm-hmm. Well, the jinn would not be a secret Jew. The jinn would be like a. But the thing is, they do sorcery. So, like,
he's a not very good Jew.
Yeah,
Mr. Jinn. because the jinn, right? The jinn have religious beliefs. They can be Muslim or they can be non-Muslim. And since they can be non-Muslim, that means they could be, Christian or Jew or Hindu or whatever, right? The jinn are like people with magical powers. Anything a person can do, a jinn can do, but then they can do other things as well.
Yep.
I think. There might be some things a person can do that a jinn can't. Like, I don't know, maybe eating food, for example. But for the most part,
the jinn eat food. They just eat food of bones and like shadow.
Yeah, right. They don't eat real food. They just eat bones.
Yep.
Not a lot of nutritional value there.
So, and it's hard to know whether or not this is the original version of it or a later insertion. I actually suspect that this passage is Medinan, because I really doubt that Muhammad had access to the Targum of Esther that this vaguely references, like even a story of it, until he got to Medina. So my suspicion is that this is a Mecca or a Medinan insertion into the Meccan surah. But this is probably one of the earliest times where you have a hint that a human agent of Allah can do expelling for Allah's behalf. But notice again, it's the people who don't follow Allah who are under true threat of expulsion. So,
Talmudic tunnels construction with the very important question: do the jinn worship Ezra? Well, if some of them are Jews, and according to the Quran, all Jews worship Ezra in such a way that condemns them for all of eternity, then yes, some jinns would have to worship Ezra. Now, I mean, there's a lot of assumptions built into that, but all of them are, if the Islamic texts are true, then yes, there would have to be jinns that worship Ezra. We did also have a new Muslim in the chat with an important question I'm happy to answer. Why do you guys show so demonic vibes against our beloved Prophet Muhammad, please be upon him? Because he's demonic. That is why we show demonic vibes towards Muhammad, please be upon him, is because he is demonic. I'm glad I could clear that up for you there. As far as rabbis, blah, 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 I can oppose more than one thing. I don't have to say, oh, the rabbi said something bad about Jesus, therefore I love Muslims. No, that's not how it works.
Ridiculous.
Your prophet is a false demonic prophet and will be treated as such, regardless of what any other person does that also expresses demonic hatred towards Jesus.
By the way, do you reject the Talmud, which says foul things about Jesus? Tell me. I want you to prove that you have your volume on in the chat, and I want you to tell me that you reject the contents of the Talmud, which says foul things about Jesus. Go ahead. So anyway, this continues on.
Let me just take a super chat before we continue from Potato Sandwich.
Here's the sadness. We are running out of funds. All our work is going to stop unless people like you watching this video will help us. Your donations can get you a share in a reward and reap those rewards for years to come, inshallah. This is not a donation or a charity, but an investment for your hereafter.
Thank you for investing in your hereafter. A better investment, though, would be to not wash your hands and get cholera so that you can go straight to Jannah. He says, only 38 viewers. Ridiculous. And 2 of those are probably salty Muslims. We need David Wood viewer counts on all of this. We do have some more today now. This was said right at the start. Counts rise through the stream generally. But we do have pretty low count today. So it's probably, some combination of people not getting what the topic was, which would be on me for not having a clear enough title, and people busy with holiday related stuff and just have better things to do today. But I would encourage the audience to share this stream so that other people can check it out later, because we have had some good material today and continue to get good material from Mary. Thank you for that super chat, Potato Sandwich. And look for higher view count streams coming in the future.
Yep.
Back to you, Mary.
All right. So Lot, again, we have another Lot coming up again because Lot seems to be Muhammad's second favorite. I wonder why. And he's yelling at his people, et cetera, et cetera. And the only answer from his people is that they said, expel the folk of Lot from your city. Again, they're men that keep themselves clean. So we delivered him and his family, except his wife. Oh, now they figured out that the old woman is his wife. Took him a while. It's always funny to see Muhammad figuring out more details as he goes along and changing his story. And we rained upon them a rain, and evil again indeed is a rain of them that are warned. Gosh, the Quran is such a dumb book. Again, in the Discord server where we're doing the translation, everyone's like making fun of the way Muhammad phrases things because it's such bad poetry. He tries to make it sound poetic by just repeating the same word over and over again in other forms. So when people are like, by the scramblers scrambling, we have scrambled swiftly the scrambled ones and things like that. It's just so bad. But here's one of them. And we rained on them a rain, and evil indeed is the rain of them that are warned. Isn't that beautiful poetry? It isn't any better in Arabic, by the way. So again, you have the threat of expulsion, which results in the destruction of whom? The unbelievers. The 17th surah, which is 50th by the traditional count, has another one that's kind of this more abstract one about Allah's blessings and the threat of condemnation. So Allah is saying that we've honored the children of Adam and carried them on land and sea and provided them with good things, and we preferred them greatly over many of those we created, which is a really interesting verse. So the children of Adam are preferred over many of those we created. So might this imply that Muhammad's not sure whether or not there are other humans? Is this jinn? Is this the angels? Who knows? Anyway, on the day Allah is going to call all the men with their records, and some are going to be given their records as a book in their right hand, and they will go to Jannah. And then I assume it doesn't even say that other people are going to get in their left hand and then go to the hellfire. But, we can't actually have a coherent thread because Allah forgot what he was talking about in the middle of this. But notice that it says to Muhammad, indeed, these evil people who are going to hell were near to seducing thee from us. But we gave you this revelation so that you wouldn't be seduced away from us. If we hadn't confirmed you, then you were very close to inclining to them a very little. So maybe you would have been a little bit inclined to listen to them and go to hell. Then we would have let you taste of the double of life and the double of death. And there would have been no one to help you against us. So we would have totally destroyed you, Muhammad, if you had listened to them. Indeed, they were near to startling thee from the land to expel thee from it. So you almost left Mecca. So in this list of all these things that nearly happened that caused you to almost fall into the list of the condemned, what is one of them? Being frightened enough that you leave Mecca.
Running away.
So if he was expelled successfully from Mecca, which category would that put him in? In the one where he yielded to the evildoers and is now lumped with them, or the one where he withstands them?
I mean, that would put him in the category of the evildoers. Because obviously he could have fought to the death, right? He didn't have to leave Mecca. he chose to stay that, or he chose to leave instead of fighting to the death.
Yep. And so, whoops, hang on one second.
So Tawhid Islam is trying to tell us more about the beauty of Islam. I had put him in timeout because I told him that the next time he was off topic, I would put him in timeout. But he wanted to let us know that rocks forgive your sins in Islam. So I don't know why he's bringing that up. That's not something that we were discussing today. But
I did ask, why do rocks forgive your sins? He was harassing a Hindu in the chat and talking about, why do you believe that cows are gods, which is not exactly true. Like, if you're going to represent somebody, you got to represent somebody correctly. And so I ask, why does a rock heal or forgive sins in Islam? So
it's your fault he was off topic.
So it's my fault he was off topic on that particular one, but he does indeed confirm that a rock does forgive your sins in Islam. And by the way, Bihar, you should research the Islamic stone much better. It actually is a literal ancient idol of the same type that all pagans and heathens used. It just hung around because Allah is a pagan god hit with a stick to try to make him seem less pagan. He is not the Christian god. He is not the Jewish god. He is one pagan god out of many who just got selected to be identified as a monotheistic god by chopping off parts from traditions surrounding him, but then keeping other completely typical pagan traditions, like being able to access the benefits of your god through a stone on earth that allows that access for you. So, well,
the intergalactic Empress Mary, destroyer of Islam and servant of Christ.
You know, if I were the intergalactic Empress, I would already have a new walking pad. My walking pad just completely died yesterday, and I am so sad because my new one is not coming in for like a week, and I am losing my mind. So it's not good. It's not good. I'm gonna have to like set up my laptop with my true treadmill, not a walking pad, but a true treadmill, or else I'm just going to turn into a complete knotted mess.
I'm just a little pagan, not much, just some pagan seasoning.
I think it's kind of the reverse, like the meat is all pagan and the seasoning is monotheistic. You just throw some monotheistic salt on things and that'll make it better, right? That'll make it better.
Yeah, I mean, when your companions are going around and saying, I wouldn't kiss the rock. I know a rock can't do anything, but I saw Muhammad do it, so I'll do it anyway. That does kind of tell you where your religion is at. You know, Muslims, the rock totally can't forgive our sins, but we take journeys to Mecca to kiss the rock for no reason whatsoever.
Well, Allah says that it does remove all your sins and makes you like.
Yes, but
Muhammad said that. So if you're going to call Muhammad a liar,
does it? It's Allah that does it, but only when you kiss the rock. You see.
But the rock is the right hand of Allah, so I don't know what you're talking about. Like Muhammad said that the rock is the right hand of Allah. So there you go. You got to face it because you have to orient all your prayers to the stone that is your access to your God to forgive sins. Very interesting.
And then we got Islamic with the greatest response ever. I'd rather kiss rocks than kiss cross. When someone kisses a cross, which is not like a normal Christian practice, but you know, someone can.
Well,
it's to show respect for the cross, for what Jesus did on the cross. It's not that the cross, we think kissing the cross gives us benefit or forgives our sins or something.
Correct.
And also,
it is a tradition, just to be clear, in Eastern Orthodoxy, it's very common, but it's not because that little piece of whatever gives you access to forgiveness.
Right. It's a
No.
symbolic act, and it's a clean cross, by the way, whereas a rock, not so clean, right? Probably
No,
not,
definitely.
especially not the black stone that's being touched by hundreds, if not thousands of people a day. Then you
Made
go
up
and put your
out with-
lip on it. All those people who probably didn't wash their hands properly, now you're kissing it. I don't know. You might get some forgiveness for something, like forgiveness of the ability to not be sick, for example, from kissing that rock.
So, all right. So, continuing again. Here is the pattern. They were near to startling thee from the land, to expel thee from it. That would put you in this category of caving into them and put you in the category of being condemned. But then it said, well, if they succeed in expelling you, and so again, you would be among the losers then we would destroy them anyway. So even if you had failed, they would still get destruction. They wouldn't be saved by causing you to fall into destruction too. So 1776 in context is incredibly important because it puts leaving Mecca because you are expelled in the same category as another act of faithlessness. Muhammad had already taught that some of the prophets were killed, right? Some of the prophets could be killed by the people, but the prophets never waver. They are never successfully expelled because they would rather die. But what does Muhammad do? He falls into this category of faithlessness where he leaves. The Hijrah is the signification of Muhammad's faithlessness. So, and again, notice there's no change in what we have given all the messengers, which is funny because this next portion actually has a bunch of changes where he declares that you need to have a prayer at sunset and a prayer at dawn, and you can have an alternative prayer in the middle whenever earlier he said that you need to stand up for most of the night. So the funny part is that this is actually a change, but his followers, again, are brainwashed. It's a cult leader. So
Tawhid Islam said, neither cross nor rock can do anything, guys. Grow up. Muhammad disagreed. So are you saying that Muhammad's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree, right? It's not a Christian belief that you get any special benefit from kissing a cross. It is, however, an Islamic belief that you get special benefit from kissing a rock or touching the rock or doing various other things to the rock. And it comes straight from Muhammad. Again, Muhammad's companions are like, this seems stupid. This seems like paganism, but Muhammad told us to do it, so we're going to do it anyway. So you're saying that you are more intelligent than Muhammad, please be upon him. And I think you're correct. You are indeed more intelligent than your prophet, which is why Daniel Hikachu has a suggestion for you. If you're too intelligent for Islam, then you leave Islam. Otherwise, you need to marry your cousin more so that you get the negative benefits of recessive genes being manifested over time, and you become dumber and dumber generation to generation. So Daniel has a suggestion for you, but let me just add a different suggestion for you. You can also reduce your intelligence in various ways, right? You can bash your head against a wall repeatedly, or if you want to do it in an Islamic way, against the ground, so that you get a little special mark on your head and you can show how pious you are. So you go, or you can ingest chemicals, or you can get rays sent into your body. Like, you can reduce your intelligence in a lot of ways. So if you're too intelligent to realize that a rock can't do anything for you, then you're not worthy to follow Muhammad, and you should either leave Islam or correct that problem.
Yep. All right, so, and all these Muslims are like, Allah is not like anything on earth. Yeah, well, guess what? As Phil says, neither is a platypus. Saying that something is not identical to that which is on earth, is other things on earth, is not saying that he is unable to be thought of because Muhammad very clearly thought of him as a giant human being in the sky.
Yep.
And Muslims have been coping about that ever since, lying about what Muhammad taught and daring to call themselves Salafi in some cases, and in other cases, just kind of throwing out the idea that they are even following what the early Muslims believed. But it is all incredibly silly, incredibly silly. He is a giant in the sky, floating around in mist before creation. He doesn't create time. He didn't create the mist. He didn't create the water he's floating over. And he may or may not have created his throne. So it's just a very, very silly belief. All right. So in Surah 14 now, moving on, this is the 72nd one, which is Meccan. We're back to Moses again. And first, Moses declares, is fussing at people, and he mentions Noah, Ad, Thamud, Thamud is Hijrah, and Hijrah would not be destroyed for like 1,000 years after Moses. But of course, Muhammad has no grasp of history. And for him, the ancient world is just this. Anything that happened more than 300 years ago is impossibly ancient to him. If it happened, well, even more than 200 years ago, it's impossibly ancient. It's all this primordial history, and he mixes everything up.
Mm-hmm.
And so
just sorry to pause you here, but I want to get this before we get too far from it. So Islamic thinks he has a response. A platypus is made of atoms. Everything else is made of atoms. So yes, everything is like everything else. Wow, you really thought that? You made an argument? Hey, Islamic. Allah exists. You exist. You are like Allah. Unless Allah doesn't exist, you are like Allah.
Well,
See how stupid this is? See how stupid this is? That you think that he has to be different in every possible way. Everything that you can any description you can come up with, Allah has to be the opposite. Hey, you have a brain. Allah doesn't have a brain. He couldn't possibly have a brain because you have a brain. You see?
He can't have knowledge. He can't know anything.
He can't think. He can't have knowledge. He can't exist.
He can't have wisdom. He can't have guidance because people can have guidance. So he can't have guidance. He can't have knowledge. He can't have awareness. He can't have
morality.
He can't have hearing. He can't have anything. If you're saying that the only way in which you're going to find him is how he is not, then none of these things can be proper to Allah. You can't talk about Allah's speech because he can't have speech in any kind of coherent, meaningful way.
Humans have speech. So the Quran doesn't exist according to you because Allah's speech can't exist.
Because it has to be utterly unlike anything that we have. So if you talk about Allah's judgment, you have to throw out any meaning for the word judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like I said, Islamic philosophy and theology is the dumbest that you will ever hear when it's the Salafi. The Salafis are like IQ 15 level. They are so stupid. They are like drooling and frothing at the mouth as they're trying to say things. And everyone else makes fun of them for a reason.
You didn't. No, you're so stupid. You didn't answer the question, right? Because you said it has to be unlike in any way that you can't conceive of it.
Yep.
And then you conceive of how Allah's existence is different than yours. I can conceive of how Allah's atoms are different than yours.
Yep.
They might be larger. They might not be composed primarily of hydrogen, right? I can think of all kinds of different ways that Allah's atoms can be different than the atoms of the universe. Maybe there are elements that don't exist in our universe, right? I can think of all kinds of ways that it's different. But you said it has to be so utterly different that you can't conceive of it. And then you go and conceive of how Allah's existence is different than your existence. Well, non-existence would be way more different than eternal existence.
Yeah.
So if Allah has to be the maximum difference than you, he can't exist, and he can't have knowledge, and he can't have good, and et cetera, right?
And by the way, that time-space stuff does not exist in Islamic theology. So just throw it right out. Yep. Time and space existed before Allah created anything. Allah is identified with time, and Allah existed in space before he created. So he did not, in fact, create space or time, either one. They asked Muhammad, hey, where was Allah before creation? He said, oh, he was in the mist over the water. So before he created anything, he was in mist or in clouds over the water.
So matter already existed.
Yep.
Time
Matter
existed.
existed, time existed, space existed.
And as Phil points out, the Hadith explicitly say Allah is time.
Mhm.
So if Allah is time and you can conceive of what time is, then Allah is not outside of your conception. And it's just incoherent, right? It's literally incoherent to say that Allah is utterly unlike anything in creation, to the point where you can't describe what Allah is like, which is in fact a description of what Allah is like.
And by the
You see
way,
the problem here,
how we conceive of an infinity exists in creation in all kinds of places. There are infinity divisions between 1 and 2. There's infinity. Eternity is just another infinity.
Yeah, I can
Infinity
conceive
exists
of eternity.
everywhere
What do you
look.
mean?
In fact, the universe does not, there's no edge of the universe. You don't run in the universe and hit things. There is no edge to the universe. It is under some ideas of it, a kind of infinite. You're always in the middle of the universe no matter where you are. So Allah cannot be infinite. He cannot have eternity because eternity is just infinite time. And again, eternity in time would be infinite time. He's in time. But yeah, all of this stuff
guy is
exists
just so incredibly stupid.
Well, it's because the Salafis are dumb.
He's a great Muslim here. He's a great Muslim. Can you conceive of eternity, sir? Yes, I can definitely conceive of the concept of eternity.
Yep. And you are not allowed, these are not rhetorical devices.
Well, now, hold on, Mary. I'm going to get to that one in a second. But then he says he's outside of space, which is a spatial term, right? He's whatever space is, Allah is outside of that, which means he's in space. Okay, fine. I'm just playing games there. I understand what he's trying to say, that Allah is non-spatial, but then Allah has physical body parts and the mist and the throne and all this stuff that it's all just words, right? But then he says, well, some rhetorical devices don't make sense. Bible has tons of rhetorical stuff. Want me to publish it here? You can't go to the Bible, right? We don't have the same goofy theology as you, that God is inconceivable.
No,
we can use rhetorical devices or analogies or whatever to describe God, because our God is conceivable. We can understand what our God is. You allegedly can't understand your God, and then you make all kinds of statements about what your God's like, even though you can't understand what he's like. You understand how stupid this is? Yeah.
And so again, this is just like argument from his own stupidity. Anything that he is too stupid to grasp is nonsense. So Allah to him has to be someone who has to be grasped, because then he runs to Trinity. And because he's not very bright, he can't understand the Trinity. Well, he also, I'm quite sure, can't understand the whether about
I bet he doesn't understand Tawheed.
Particle form, that light is both a wave and a particle, and when it is a wave, it is not a particle, and when it is particle, is not a wave. Like
he definitely doesn't understand that, Mary, but I bet he doesn't even understand Tawheed. Hey, Islamic, describe Tawheed in terms that are utterly like anything in the world.
Yeah. Describe it.
Because those are your two statements about what Allah is, right? He's Tawheed, but he's also unlike anything in the world. Are there things that are utterly one in this universe? Yeah.
Tawheed means unified. So my
I know.
So.
That
no,
those are metaphors. Those are metaphors. What is a metaphor? What is a metaphor, Islamic? A metaphor is a way of understanding something by analogy. So when I have a hand and Allah has a hand and it's a metaphor, that means that you can understand something about Allah from something in creation.
And he's also, being, again, IQ 15 and running from Salafi arguments to the unlikeness of Allah like anything in creation, running from Salafi arguments, from the Atharis. Now he's picking up Ash'ari and Maturidi arguments, which are contradictory. So which one are you? Do you not even understand your own creeds? either Allah is utterly unlike anything in the universe, or else Allah is truly the seeing and the knowing. You
Mhm.
can't have both.
I know. We can see and know.
So the Ashri and Maturidi say that that knowing is a true attribute of Allah, seeing is a true attribute of Allah, knowledge is a true attribute of Allah, and knowledge is a meaningful statement. The Salafi actually say that knowledge cannot be a meaningful statement to us because of the unlikeness principle. These are contradictions. So which one are you running to?
Hey, he finally figured it out. You can't describe a thing that your mind can't comprehend, sir. And yet he's here
Awesome.
describing what Allah is like. And his
So-
scriptures describe what Allah is like, almost like his theology is inherently incoherent.
Yep.
It's inherently contradictory. It tells you what Allah is like, expects you to recognize what Allah is like, and then simultaneously tells you you can't understand anything about Allah. You just have absolutely no idea what Allah is like.
Do you know whether or not you are believing in Tawheed or not? Like, can you know if you believe in Tawheed? Because if you can, then you are describing something about Allah.
I know.
Is so ridiculous. Again, guys, Islamic theology that you get on the internet, especially because the Ashari and Maturidi by itself still fails. But it isn't quite the absolute drooling level of stupidity that you get from quote unquote average knowledgeable Muslims online. These guys who really care about their religion, have really read about it, and are trying to like put things together completely incoherent.
This guy is so. I think he's living proof that Daniel is correct, that Muslims are low IQ, because he says, I'm pointing out your contradictory statements. How are you pointing out anything? I'm asking you to describe it in your own terms, and then you say you can't, while also describing Allah in your own terms.
Yep. Tell me whether or not you can say whether you believe in Tawheed.
Yeah.
And
Do you believe in Tawheed?
Does that mean something?
Is Allah Tawheed? And if so, do you have a concept of what that term means?
So that is the only question that you can answer. You need to answer that, or you're just going to go in timeout because you've been here before.
Yep.
No, it's not anything about any comparable concept. That is
ridiculous. That he didn't have a chance yet, right? Because of the delay and whatnot. But Islamic, you need to answer that question. Do you believe that Allah is Tawheed, and do you believe that the term has a meaning that you understand?
Yep.
And if you don't answer that question, you're going to time out.
So, all right. Going back to, of course, Moses here is talking about things that will happen 1,000 years in the future.
Don't pay any attention to this. I'm giving him one more chance to answer the question.
One more chance. You got to answer the question. Is talking about Tawheed a meaningful statement about Allah, or does it have no meaning? Can you comprehend what it is to believe in Tawheed? When you say, I affirm Tawheed, does that mean something? Or could you just say, I believe in and it means exactly as much? Like that is the same thing as Tawheed. Can Tawheed be exchanged with right? That is the question.
He just the Muslim apologist there just described Tawheed.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. So here we have Moses talking about things that will happen 1,000 years in the future, as if they've already happened, because Muhammad doesn't have any sense of history. And then he talks about all of previous messengers who came with these various messages, and we've all given the same message, blah, blah, blah. And then Moses is explaining that the unbelievers had said to their messengers, we will surely assuredly expel you from our land, or you will surely return unto our creed. So either you guys will believe in our gods again, or we're going to throw you out. Then their Lord revealed unto them, we will destroy the evildoers. So those two things that the evildoers were threatening could not happen, because when they tried to expel them from their land, or when they tried to convince them of coming to the creed, the evildoers were destroyed instead. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then there's a description of hell, which borrows from Persian elements of foul food that is in the Zoroastrian religion, because Muhammad didn't even know what religion he should be copying. So he borrowed the gross food and Zoroastrian hell and put it into this supposedly Abrahamic hell. But that's what was presented. Moses is presenting this option. Hey, look, all of these messengers came before, and they threatened to expel people. Moses is supposed to be saying, send me out with the children of Israel, but instead, nope, threatening to expel them. And instead, they were destroyed.
All right. So we have our answer from Islamic, even though he didn't actually answer the question because he's too stupid to answer the question. Allah embodies Tawheed, which is the concept of absolute oneness and uniqueness of God. By the way, you guys are talking about Laiku, check the mirror. So you didn't answer the question. It was a yes or no question, right? You tried to tell us what Tawheed is, but that implicitly means yes, that you believe in Tawheed and you believe you can describe it, which you are describing in relationship to creation. So yours is inherently contradictory. Congratulations. Your theology remains incoherent.
This is why everyone laughs at the Salafis, dude. Even the other Muslims laugh at the Salafis. There is no Islamic point of view that's dumber than the Salafi, and is so popular online because they're like, we totally believe what the companions believe. No, you don't. No, you don't. You pretend to, but you turn everything into a hash, because what the companions actually believed in is a literal, huge, human-looking God. That's what the companions actually believed in. So, now, there is, so, Yahya, goodness gracious, we have Yahya here. Is Mecca very close on the way to Zion, which is Jerusalem? Is Mecca immediately outside Jerusalem a passage through which many, many pilgrims pass on their way to Jerusalem? Yes or no? Answer this question, or get on topic, or be put in timeout. You guys are just embarrassing yourselves.
Yep. All right. We got this moron who says Christianity is dying in America. I said, who cares? Get on topic. They didn't. So they are going to time out. They are not a Muslim, to be clear. They said that I'm proud to be an atheist, but apparently they...
what dies? Atheism. Atheism cannot even reproduce itself. It literally dies out. It has no future. It has no children. Its only children are death at all times. America
and numbers
will be
don't
religious,
determine
period.
truth, right? Numbers don't determine truth.
Nope.
I actually would deny the truth of this statement. Not sure, nominal belief, right? Number of people who are cultural Christians who identify as Christian but don't actually believe is definitely on the decline, but I don't believe that true belief is. But regardless, even if true belief is on the decline, it's totally irrelevant. Numbers don't determine truth. I'm interested in what's true. You're interested in playing stupid games. Got it. And this guy wants to have it both ways, right? So he says we can't understand God, but then goes on to say we can, right? So we
can know some things.
But we can know some things about God through philosophy and Holy Scripture. So we can understand God.
So we can attribute oneness to Allah, which is a concept that people have in creation, which makes him like creation. But whenever I don't like it, I'll say that he's unlike creation and refuse to elaborate because, again, dumbest possible version of Islam. All right, let's go ahead and get through this, or we are not going to.
We're done with this. We're done with this idiot now. No more. We've made our point. Islamic. We've made our point. You can stop spamming the same self-contradictory statements over and over again while telling us how high your IQ is and what an amazing genius you are when you would fail logic 101.
I know,
as
right?
you give contradictory statements.
All right. So the very first Medinan Surah. Now, all of the stuff that he's been saying about how you cannot expel me if I am persuaded to leave. What does that mean? That's similar to me being persuaded to leave a law, and I'm in this condemnation bucket. Nope, now it's all gone. Suddenly being expelled is not my fault. And it's not that I allowed myself to leave, that I voluntarily left when they wanted to throw me out. That's fine. So we get a massive amount of cope from the Medinan surahs onward that are justifying this and saying that, you know what, it's on them. They're the evil ones. They're the evil ones for having thrown me out. It's not about how they won't, because Allah will totally defend me. Allah will come and destroy anyone who tries to throw me out, and I won't give in and choose to go on my own. Now, he has done something that has proven himself by his own theology to be a false prophet, because he was successfully expelled. Allah did not come and soon after destroy the Meccans. But at this point, he's just like, well, you know, Allah's going to get him. Allah's going to get him. Don't worry. Allah's still coming. Allah's going to get him. And here he's addressing the Jews, and he's trying to link the Jews to having expelled people, when before none of the prophets were expelled. But now suddenly prophets are successfully expelled. And here he's saying that Allah took a compact with, you know, in the covenant that he has with the Jews. The covenant consists of, you shall not shed your own blood, neither expel from your own habitations. Yet you are killing one another and expelling a party of you from their habitations, conspiring against them in sin and enmity. So that's like the accusation against the Jews, is that the covenant, it consisted of their promise not to have killing or expulsion, and then they did anyway. Shame on you, Jews, because you did this. Mm-hmm. And then he also begins to inserting this idea that all of the followers of God were called to fight in the way of Allah. Fight in all the way of Allah. And so fight only those who have done the expelling and the slaying and everything else. Slay them whenever you come upon them. Expel them from where they expelled you. So now, no longer will Allah vindicate you. You need to try and kill them all. Because persecution is terrible. It's worse than slaying. The fact that you got thrown out is worse than you murdering them all. But don't fight by the holy mosque unless they choose to fight you there. But if they do, then kill them all, because that's what they deserve. So but if they surrender, then Allah will forgive them and they follow you. That's fine. And continuing on in the same chapter, fighting the holy month. Fighting it is a heinous thing. It's terrible. But what's worse is this persecution, because they have been, because they expelled you. So now you just need to kill them all, because they had expelled its people from it. This is a 180 from what he'd been teaching all of this time. All this time, he'd been teaching, you cannot expel me unless I give in to you, and then I'm under condemnation. And even if you do expel me and I'm now under condemnation, then Allah will destroy you. Suddenly, what's Allah doing? Is Allah going to destroy them? No, they need to go and murder everyone in Mecca. Muhammad at this point knows he's been teaching false things for years and is just too proud to give it up. Continuing on, he tries to make a parallel to Saul. So, have you not heard of the council of the children of Israel? Those are the mullahs again. After Moses, when they said to a prophet of theirs, raise up for us a king, and we will fight in God's way. So we will be jihadis if you just give us a king. But then the prophet of theirs says, oh, but if you're told to fight, maybe you won't kill all the people that Allah tells you to kill. They're like, oh no, we totally will kill all the people who were told to kill. Why would we not fight? We who have been expelled from our habitations and our children. So it's claiming that at the time of Saul, the children of Israel had been thrown out of their homes, who were the true followers of God, had been thrown out of their homes, and now they're getting a king who will help them murder all the rest of the children of Israel who had done the throwing out, and then that's how the kingship comes to be. This, of course, has absolutely no resemblance to anything in history in the Bible. Muhammad is just making this up to make up a parallel to him. Now he is going to be the one among the expelled people who's going to come and be their prophet king and now kill all the unbelievers and expel those who had expelled them, etc., etc. Then their prophet said to them, ha, Saul has raised up for you as a king. And it says, how should he be king over us who have better right than he to kingship, seeing that he has not been given an amplitude of wealth? Is that something that anybody ever said about Saul? Man, he shouldn't be king because he's not rich enough. No, he was tall and strong and they all accepted him. But who wasn't rich? Oh yeah, that'd be Muhammad, who had spent all of his wife's money already. Very, very, very remarkable here how Muhammad is stealing the figure of Saul and trying to force it into a parallel with him. So, completely different theology that entirely rejects and repudiates his earlier theology. The Surah 3 is the third Medinan Surah, which is 89th overall. I stopped counting what it is in the Medinan order after this because it gets too hard to count. But it's the 89th overall. And here's this long, pious prayer of Muhammad that he's given to the people, telling them to recite this and pray. Whoever you send into the fire, you will have destroyed. He won't have any helpers. And then we have heard a caller calling to us saying, believe in your Lord, and we believe. Oh Lord, forgive us our sins. Then our Lord, give us what you've promised through your messengers, and do not humiliate us on the day of resurrection, like you will the people of fire. And their Lord answers them, I waste not the labor of any that labors among you, be you male or female. The one of you is as the other, and those who immigrated and were expelled from their habitations. Lest anyone say the Muslims were not expelled. Muhammad's followers were not expelled. The immigrants are identified with those who were expelled from their habitations. The people who are with Muhammad were thrown out of Mecca. This was not Muhammad escaping and the people didn't want him to escape and they totally wanted to kill him right there and they weren't going to let him go. No, they had been trying to throw him out for years and he gave in and left. He was expelled. All the rest of this stuff is made up to cope with the fact that for years he was running around saying, you will not expel me. Allah is going to send down torment and the painful punishment, and he's going to destroy all of you, and you can't expel me because I'm a true prophet, and you can't expel the true prophets unless they give in to you, and then their portion of hellfire. Nope, now you guys are totally fine. The fact that you were expelled, well, it happened before. It happened before. This happened before, etc., etc. So,
which is strange since it didn't actually happen before in the Quranic narrative.
Yeah, it had happened before. Suddenly it gets made up. And Yeah, and keep in mind here that the one who is having the expulsion and everything else, it's Saul. It is Saul. In this narrative, it is Saul. Saul is a leader of a group of Israelites who have been thrown out of their homes, and he is going to murder and slaughter everyone, even though he is not regarded at first because of his wealth, and then become triumphant over those who had expelled them. That did not happen. This is made up. Muhammad knows so little about, and it is funny. It is funny that he could have picked David, and you might have had some basis for some of this, but Muhammad is so ignorant, he can't even pick a likely candidate for this narrative. He just makes it up. So, again, if you fight in the way of Allah, then, because now you've been kicked out, so now you need to go and slaughter the people who kicked you out. And if you get slain, well, then you will be a martyr and you will get goodies.
Mm-hmm.
So we have martyrdom expounded at this point. Surah 60. We're getting close to the end. Surah 60 is the 91st Medinan Surah, and it has more of this new theology. Don't be friends with the enemies of me. Don't be nice to them, even though they're the ones who have expelled the messenger, that is Muhammad. So don't be nice to the Meccans who aren't followers of Muhammad. Instead, you need to go and slaughter them, struggle in my way, commit jihad. Don't secretly love them, because if you're like doing jihad but you're secretly loving them, I will know that, and you've already gone astray. So if you have any pity for the people you're supposed to be slaughtering, then shame on you. And if they come to you and ask you for favors, for pity, for mercy, for anything, then you're doing evil. You're a disbeliever. Neither your blood kindred nor your children shall profit you. So don't be merciful to your parents. Don't be merciful for your children. Murder them all because they had expelled the messenger and you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then continuing on, Allah forbids you not, as regards to those who have not fought you in religion's cause, nor expelled you from your habitations, that you should be kindly to them. So you can act justly, or you can act kindly. You can be nice to the people who are completely uninvolved in kicking you out in any way. It's those who have fought you in a religion's cause. Those are the ones that you have, or have supported you being expelled. They're evildoers. You need to slaughter them, and you need to feel no mercy toward them.
So we got Tawheed Islam finally trying to get on topic, finally trying to discuss what's actually being discussed here. And somehow he got this from your presentation. So you denying Prophet Muhammad, please be upon him, history? We have solid evidences unlike you. So Mary, are we suggesting that this is not historical, that this is not something that happened? Or are we making a completely unrelated argument and saying, in fact, this demonstrates that it's historical? If you are talking, you are on mute. We possibly lost Mary here. I'm not sure. So I will just have to answer the question myself. Mary is not suggesting this is ahistorical, that this is not a historical event, and that Islam is false because it gives false history. In fact, what she's suggesting is that Muhammad's actual history disproves Islam, because Muhammad first declared that anyone who was expelled from their land would be a false prophet. Then he was expelled from his land, and then his theology changed to match his circumstances, like any cult leader or false prophet would do. Suddenly the revelation from Allah changes. Muhammad was threatened with, having to fight, and so he ran away, and then, that's not how it works, guys. That's not how it works anymore. Now, if you're expelled, what you need to do is you need to go back and slaughter them.
Whereas before, who would have done the slaughtering? Allah was going to kill all the people who opposed Muhammad through divine means. He gets thrown out, and suddenly all this change.
Mary is speechless. Indeed, she is.
Breathe wrong. Should not inhale tea. One should drink it without inhaling it. So, what does it say? It says that everything that Muhammad had been preaching for 13 years is false. They will not be smited by Allah. They will not be struck down by something supernatural. They will not fail in throwing them out and rather possibly killing the prophet rather than throwing him out. No, they successfully expelled him, which shows that he has given in to them. He is weak. According to his own theology, he has given in to them. And they should still be destroyed, even if they caused him to falter and become no longer trust in Allah. Allah still should have destroyed them all, according to his early theology. But instead, who needs to destroy them? Muhammad's followers, other human beings. Why? Because Muhammad now no longer believes that Allah is on his side and will destroy them for him. He realizes at this point on a deep level that he is a false prophet.
So for our cousin marriage friends in the chat, I will just explain this once again. Muhammad said, speaking on behalf of Allah, Muhammad claimed that if he was a false prophet, he would be expelled. Muhammad was then expelled. Muhammad then claimed on behalf of Allah that he needed to go back and slaughter the people who had expelled him. This proves that Islam is false because Muhammad's theology changed. His theology invalidated him, then his theology changes. This is not something that is a moral command that can just be abrogated. He made a claim about what Allah was going to do. That claim proved false. And then suddenly Allah has a new claim, which is to go and do offensive jihad. Interesting religion. Quick question from Lambert. I missed the stream of Kelly Powers. No, he messaged me and he's like, I realized it was Thanksgiving, but also I have other things to do. So it was moved to Sunday. I will be streaming with Kelly Powers on Sunday. And while Mary's dealing with something,
Oh, it's okay.
I'm going to take a super chat from More K.
For Baghdad and Mighty Mary.
There you go. You got the ape apologist. Okay, was worried they didn't do it right, but you in fact did. Bad Thad and Mighty Mary.
Very nice. Very nice.
Why stuttering?
I like that. Did you see John Wilson's? Do you want to bring it up now or do you want to wait?
I can bring it up now.
So
I watched a musical called My Fair Lady. There was a song that said the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. But I'd like to change those words to the Muslim rain will surely cause you pain.
Let me try this out. The Muslim rain will surely cause you pain. The Muslim rain will surely cause you pain. Pain. I can't remember the tune very well. But there
Based?
the plane. Yeah, so it'd be the Muslim rain will surely cause you pain. Yeah, if you don't know it very well, I only hear it in my head, and I haven't ever sung it before. It's a little bit tricky, but it's
that was fun. Great. That was great for sure.
What a powerful answer.
I should actually practice something like that. That would be hilarious.
Thank you very much for the super chat there, John Wilson.
By Ezra, she's got it. Someone said, because the line is by Jove, she's got it. As Eliza.
Oh, right. Because she's finally saying the words "quote unquote" properly, right?
Yes.
By Ezra, she's got it.
Well, it certainly can't be I want to dance on our night anymore. It have to be something else. So, all right. So, continuing on, what have they not journeyed in the land and beheld how was the end of those before them? Remember, this is something that they've told to do over and over again. Those who come before them are destroyed by whom, Thaddeus? Before the Hijrah, whom are they always destroyed by?
Allah.
By Allah. By Allah. That is because Allah is a protector of the believers, and the unbelievers have no protector. So all of this lovely, Allah will let nice things happen to those who believe, and Jinnah and the others will be sent to hellfire. Then all of a sudden it goes, how many a city that was stronger in might than thy city, which has expelled thee, have we destroyed. We destroyed. So again, keep in mind that that some of the earlier surah, like the Surah al-Baqarah, has tons and tons of edits in it from later on. So whenever the ones talking about jihad, all of those come from after. It took him like a number of months, maybe even a year before they started trying to attack the caravans and things like that. Why? Because Muhammad's probably still saying that Allah was going to vindicate us. Allah is totally going to destroy us. Because before he said, even if you caused me to fall away and I got kicked out, Allah is going to destroy you. Why would he have changed that part immediately? He was saying that, oh, well, you kicked us out. We aren't fallen away. However, Allah will totally destroy you. Allah will totally destroy you. And still giving these assurances that are very similar to those in Surah 7 for quite a while, saying that Allah is going to come and destroy the ones who have expelled us. So who's upon this clear sign? Well, it's us. We are following Allah. They're following their own desires. And Allah is going to destroy everything. And so because keep in mind that these other things that are from Surah 2, they begin at 84 with the idea of expulsion whatsoever. And then the first idea of slaughtering comes at 190, which is much later. Muhammad could go in and insert something at any point in a surah, but in general, later stuff is more often found later on in a given surah. So, at the time that this one was given, he was still expecting Allah to come and destroy them. Mm-hmm. So it's okay that we're thrown out, but Allah is going to destroy them, even though Allah does not. And do keep in mind here that anyone who tells you that they thought that this kind of fantastic Mecca is a super, super, super strong city, no, it wasn't. It wasn't a great city. How many a city that was greater in might than the city which expelled you have we destroyed? So, again, this is a backwater. Muhammad's perfectly aware of that much. It's just his backwater, his people, his language.
So AH asks, hold on, was Muhammad, please be upon him, a gypsy? Well, he wasn't a member of the Romani people, but he was, a man without a home. He was traveling from place to place, looking for somewhere to call home.
Got thrown out.
After he got thrown out, and of course the gypsies are often thrown out of wherever they are, right? That's why they are unable to settle in any area. They're always on the move. So in a sense, yes, that is correct.
All right. So the Surah 59, which is the 101st by traditional counting, has another passage or several other passages about expulsion again. And it begins with the usual declamation to Allah. It is He, Allah, who is expelled from their habitations the unbelievers among the people book at the first mustering. So at this point, they're talking about in Medina when Muhammad slaughtered a bunch of the Jews, basically, and said, well, Allah's the one who did this. Because remember, it's the shifting of the theology from Allah sending a supernatural punishment to now, well, when we kill a bunch of people, it's really Allah doing this. It's not Allah doing it when we get thrown out. But when we kill a bunch of the Jews and that other ones have to leave and go to Hijrah, then it's Allah. He's done this, and this is proof of Islam. The fact that we were able to kill them and expel them from their lands. Well, Allah is expelling the unbelievers, just like I say that Allah expels unbelievers. It's totally going to happen, even though we are the ones who got expelled earlier. Let's ignore that. But look at what we got to do. We got to Allah expelled them using us. And that's because they made a breach with Allah and his messenger. So they stopped following the law. So we were able to become uppermost over them. So I guess whenever they got thrown out from Mecca, that would be the same. But notice how we contextualize it, however it benefits him. Then there's this huge thing about you can chop down all the trees that you want. You can take whatever of this you want that you take. You can do all these war crimes. And then it goes, whatever spoils of war Allah is given to his messenger from the people of the cities belongs to Allah, his messenger, and the people that Muhammad chooses to give it to, etc., etc. Whatever Allah or the messenger gives you, take whatever. If it gives you, give to the messenger. Like, Muhammad gets to control everything that they conquered. And then it says, it is for the poor immigrants who were expelled from their habitations and their possessions, seeking bounty from Allah and his pleasure, helping Allah's messengers. They are the truthful ones. So again, you have Allah expels all these unbelievers. But by the way, you are given this because you were expelled by the bad people. So just this whole mess of contradiction here immediately. Mm-hmm. So, those who made their dwelling in the, and then continuing on actually it's just shortly later, in the same one, they're talking about these same folks, those who immigrated to them, to the people who were expelled. So the people who are expelled, they're immigrants, but also those who choose willingly to come to them are additional immigrants as well. They're super special and wonderful. They're the prosperers because they're choosing their religion and Muhammad and their friends who are with Muhammad over the people who are still occupying Mecca.
Mm-hmm. And those caravans don't hurt. All those caravans they're robbing, they don't hurt, making them the prosperous ones.
Yep. So, have you not regarded the hypocrites saying to their brothers of the people of the book who disbelieve, if you're expelled, we will go forth with you, and we will never obey anyone in regards to you. And if you are fought against, we will help you. And they're liars because they didn't help them, which is kind of silly because there are two opposed factions to one another among the Muslims and among the Jews and among the pagans that were opposed to one another. So some Jewish tribes were against other Jewish tribes, some pagan tribes were against other pagan tribes. So they were never saying, oh, we will totally help every co-religionist. They weren't saying that at this time, but Muhammad's lying about them to make it seem like he knows something special. If those are expelled, they will not go forth with them. If they're fought against, they will not help them. Even if they help them, they'll surely turn their backs and then they wouldn't be helped. So they're not going to help them, but if they do help them, then they won't help them enough, or they'll give up and then they'll get expelled. So notice that there are two classes of expelled people. There are the expelled people who are like previous expelled people, which is that Allah is against them. And then there are expelled people who are with Allah, but Allah has chosen to not defend them in any way, even though he promised to. So
almost like it doesn't have any meaning whatsoever if you're expelled now, right? Because if you're expelled, it either means Allah is against you or he's with you.
Right. He's either with you or against you, clearly. So, I mean, like, this is just the uttermost nonsense. Uttermost nonsense. So
I do have to correct you there, Mary, because with the nonsense that was being said in the chat earlier, where they were describing Allah in detail while also telling us that they couldn't know anything about Allah, was definitely worse nonsense than this, but both are definitely nonsense.
So Bihar asked, what does Hijrah mean in Arabic? It means that you are expelled, or it means that you are an immigrant, a person who moves from place to place, a traveler. Stranger or wanderer kind of thing. Hijrah does indeed in Hindi mean it's a group of men who are attached to Islam, by the way, who kidnap boys and mutilate them and cause them to be mutilated male prostitutes and beggars. It's the usual cross-dressing sex mutilation thing that you often get in Islam when it traveled to India. These people are called Hijrah, by the way. And they're now talking about how wonderful
coincidence.
Yeah. It is an actual coincidence. They are different languages. They don't have the same meaning, but that is who it is in India.
It's funny that they're Islamic.
Yeah. It's from the Islamic groups, because it's the same thing as the Bachabazi. And they're just the Indian version of Bachabazi.
So
they have.
Back to the Arabic, though, you said that it meant a migrant, but it doesn't refer to migration, i.e. the event, as opposed to the person doing the event?
Well, the root has to do with migration.
Right.
So the Hijrah is the migration.
Yeah. So migration, not migrant, right? Or immigrant.
The migrant.
You said it means immigrant, is what you said.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it means the migration. The root has to do with immigrant. HJR or HGR, depending on what your particular dialect is how you'd render it in English, depending. All right. So I'm horrifying Pant Schmantz. He's like, why? Why is Islam so gross? Yep. Gay sex comes in there somehow, and horrible forms of pederasty and things. Yep. Mm-hmm. Always seems to revert to that, doesn't it? All right. Then in Surah 22, which is supposed to be the 103rd Meccan Surah, we have another passage about expulsion again. Assuredly, Allah will defend those who believe. Leave is given to those who fight because they were wronged, and surely as Allah is able to help them who were expelled from their habitations without right. So again, who is expelled? Muhammad and his followers are among the expelled. And Allah is able to help them. Apparently only by letting them slaughter the people, not any longer by the divine smiting that Muhammad had been promising for years and years and years. Muhammad's been promising divine smiting for attempting to expel them. Now they have successfully expelled them, and Allah is not showing up with any smiting at all. They're going to have to murder everyone themselves. And so, here's his excuse. Well, if the law had not driven back the people, some by means of others, there had been destroyed cloisters and churches, oratories and mosques, and therein Allah's name is much mentioned. So the reason why they're, the Romans and the Ethiopians and stuff, they defend their societies with arms, and that's actually Allah's doing, because if they didn't do that, then their churches would be destroyed where Allah is remembered. So he's just making up excuses to why this entire narrative of Allah's divine destruction just isn't going to follow anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we need these people to destroy others through their own might, because otherwise they won't be here to perform the ritual prayers, pay alms, bid to honor, forbid dishonor, etc., etc. Utter, complete evisceration of his own theology. And then in the hypocrites, so the hypocrites, which is 104th, which is Medinan, they're the ones that say, don't expend on them that are with Allah's messenger until they scatter off. So don't spend money, don't give Allah a loan, don't spend money on the jihad. Yet, don't you hypocrites understand that Allah owns everything? So you should be spending your money since Allah owns everything, because otherwise Allah won't have money even though he owns everything. Anyway, then the hypocrites
That's why he needs a loan. Give a loan to Allah. He needs more money.
He does. If we return to the city, the mightier ones of it will expel the more abased. So again, like if we try to take Mecca right now, they will throw us out again. But that totally won't happen, because Allah is smarter than that. Allah knows better than that. We'll be able to take them. And of course, they actually did take them, but they did it by blockading them, and they were literally starving at the time. And they had managed to get quite a successful blockade during a time of famine, and the Meccans were near starvation, and that's why they were able to take them over. By the way, it was not through pure force of arms. So, Surah 9, one of the very last ones. And this is the last chronological mention of expulsion. So they're saying that the people of Mecca have sold the signs of Allah for a small price and have barred from his way. So they've kept people from doing the right things and controlling the Kaaba. And so don't observe a bond or treaty. They don't observe a bond or treaty towards a believer. So they're the transgressors. If they repent, then they can join the religion. Everything's fine. But if they don't, fight them. Fight them. Will you not fight a people who broke their oaths and purpose to expel the messenger, beginning the first time against you? So they're the ones who started everything by expelling Muhammad, successfully expelling Muhammad. But Allah now is no longer going to smite them, needs you to fight them, and then Allah will chastise them at your hands and degrade them. So previously, Allah has been like flooding and throwing earthquakes.
Who ate the apple?
Fire from heaven and damaging winds and all of these different floods and all these different divine punishments. And all these cities. But now that it comes to Mecca, now that it comes to last messenger, well, Allah's now going to use you so that he can destroy them and scatter them. And somewhere in here, there's one that says that he's purposely not destroying them with his own divine punishment, because he wants them to be scattered when they are overtaken by might and expelled. And I will see if I can. Here we go. Had Allah not prescribed dispersal for them, he would have chastised them in this world. So those that he wants to be scattered abroad, then he will bring fire from heaven. But those that he wants to be, if he doesn't want them to be scattered abroad, he'll bring fire from heaven or a flood or whatever. But if he decides that he wants them to be scattered abroad, he will use you.
Totally makes sense.
That totally makes sense.
Because, when there's an earthquake, for example, it's not like people flee from the area. They're definitely all killed.
Yeah, they're all killed. And Allah couldn't possibly bring an earthquake without literally killing everyone. Yeah. So anyway, that is Muhammad's last cope. And this disproves Islam and also gives you a hint as to when it was that Muhammad really started realizing he was a false prophet. At the time that he left from Mecca to Medina, he knew a good part of the time that he was fake. Not every moment. Because here's the thing. You'll find with followers of cult leaders that they have realization and denial, realization and denial, realization and denial. It's kind of like you should watch, if you're wondering what's going on in the brains of these people, if you watch Scamfished and the people who send thousands and thousands of dollars to romance scammers, and they'll say things where you know that this isn't real, but they still do it and talk themselves into it. So some part of them absolutely knows it's not real. That is typical of those who follow cult leaders. That is typical of cult leaders themselves. At some level, they know it's a scam. They know that they are scammers in the cases of a cult leader. And in the cases of others, they wake up periodically and know that they are being scammed. But they are so bought into this for various reasons that they cannot walk away from it. They are committed to it until they are destroyed. And that is, it's catfishing. Online catfishing, early version, is what cults were. And it was what Muhammad was. He was that kind of cult leader. So, do not redeem, says Tommy McDonald.
Do not redeem. Don't redeem. Redeem? Okay.
Yep. That's Kit Boga, for those who don't know, one of his funniest clips has. But those are not romance scammers. They're scammers who are tricking people about their computer and other things. I'm talking about if you watch Scamfish and stuff. So
yeah. Well, it's the same. Obviously, the script is different, but the same idea, right? You trick someone and you get involved. Now, a catfishing scheme normally goes on much longer than a single phone call. It's built up over time. And the idea, what Mary's saying basically, is that you get invested in it so that at first you're tricked, and then at some point you're kind of coming to the realization that you're being tricked, but you're so invested, you've spent so much money that you have the cognitive dissonance. And one of the ways to resolve that is to say, no, I'm wrong. I'm not being tricked, right? And convince yourself to continue forward with it.
Well, if you're afraid, if this is making you not trust yourself, I recommend that you watch the channel Scamfish, and you will realize that the people who are tricked by this they're those who have wanted to be tricked from the beginning, and they're not good people. There are a few who are just dupes, but they're mostly just absolutely horrific people.
Yeah, so often scammers will intentionally make the scam easy to detect because they don't want to continue forward and waste their time with people who have figured it out, right? So they'll intentionally make it easy to detect so that they only get the people who really want to believe it, whether it's really believing that you are getting this inheritance of millions of dollars, or believe that the hot woman on the other side of the planet wants to date you, or whatever the case may be, that they intentionally weed out people who it's not even an intelligence issue, right? It's people who want to believe it for whatever reason, because they're desperate or
it's emotional. It's about I want to believe that I am the kind of person that and the romance scammer is very much like the cult leader, because these folks want to believe that they're the special person. They're the one that Johnny Depp will love, that they have this thing inside of them that now this 4-star general or this rich engineer on an oil rig or whoever it is going to sweep them up. Elon Musk is going to sweep them off their feet because there is they are special. It's their own belief in their own specialness that really gets them, that they can't stand to be just another person. So watch a few of those.
Ironically, that's the same kind of motivation that motivates conspiracy theories, right? You're the special person who's figured it out, no matter how incoherent it is or how ridiculous it is. You get addicted to it, and you think you're very special because you're the one who's figured it out.
Yep, you're the one who knows the secrets. You're the one who figures it out. You're the one who can see things that no one else sees. And on that note, I have recorded a video that has 17 examples of male of Islamic origins, academic frauds that he is committing. Why is he doing this? Like, they're ridiculous. They're just ridiculous and shameful that he's saying this.
Mm-hmm.
This is my boyfriend is Elon Musk level of delusion. Why is he doing this? Well, he decided that he needed to make a vow to God that he was going to uncover the real roots of Islam, that is his calling from God, that he is empowered by God to do this, and he is a super special person with super special insight into these things. So whatever he does, if a thought flits through his brain, then it's one that's endorsed by God. And yes, as Tommy Tunnel says, that, yeah, this is Jessica Alba, and I will marry you. I just need $1,000 Target gift card for plane tickets because my management is controlling my money. That is absolutely what happens, and people believe that for the same reason
Target
that
gift
Mel will just ask ChatGPT to create something for him. It does. It makes things up because it tries to give you affirmative answers, and he just takes it as true. It's true. He doesn't check it. He doesn't verify anything because he wants it to be true. There are a lot of people who are having AI hallucinations right now. They are, or who are having, AI psychosis right now, where they are getting into a folie à deux with a chatbot, which is helping drive them insane. And Mel is extraordinarily susceptible to this. He is in this unhealthy relationship with AI because it is affirming things that he desperately wants to believe, and he has no filter. He has no sanity check. He has no thought to even check things. He just wants to take it. He wants to believe it. And he's getting married soon. That's very scary because there's a very high likelihood that he's going to end up with an AI girlfriend that drives him off the cliff because of his extreme susceptibility to this. And people who have this inherent susceptibility do not behave in coherent ways when they are exposed to an affirmation machine. Well, what happens if you are a cult leader? What do you create around you? You create an affirmation machine. Your followers are your affirmation machine. So your followers are the equivalent of the AI chatbot
telling you what you want to
driving the
hear.
delusion off the cliff. That's what's happening to these cult leaders. So yeah, they do sniff their own glue. That's why they commit suicide. Why they do wild things and sometimes suffer terribly because of the insane things that they're doing. Why? Because they create around them the equivalent of their own chatbots to become the affirmation machine of their delusions and drive them off the cliff. So yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's always the question, does this person actually believe the not, like, you can, if you're outside, right, you can see that the group is nonsense, but it's like, does the person believe the nonsense or are they just scamming people? And the answer is probably usually both, right? At some level, they realize what they're doing, but at another level, they're getting all these people who are like affirming them and telling them, yes, you really are the savior of the world or whatever the cult is making a claim, and then they begin to believe it because everyone keeps telling them. So it's very dangerous for sure.
And I obviously do not endorse this guy's values or lifestyle, but I just put in a chat a video by one of the few people who are covering in detail what the AI chatbots are doing to people who are susceptible, leading them to developing psychosis and suicide. And again, when you have someone who is charismatic, who can turn people into their chatbots, who is susceptible to delusions, that's how you get cults. That's how you get cults.
Delmy Tree Cutter says, check out the latest testimony I posted. Ex-imam comes to Jesus. So check that out. I haven't personally seen it, but it sounds interesting for sure. Jenna Principal said, and when you logged in, the AI girl wouldn't talk to you for a couple of days, and you have to figure out what you did to piss off the AI girl. That's pretty funny. All right. So a couple things that I say throughout. Bahara said, too many Marys. Do you know about Malah?
I have no idea what
I do not know this new meme, so you'll have to inform us in the chat. Cargo Crew said, I don't know, man. I didn't even take this Divine Wrath Project BS too seriously to even consider this dilemma.
Well, Muhammad took it completely seriously. That was the evidence of what was true. You walk around to every city, and all the ancient cities have been visited by the wrath of Allah, who has supernaturally destroyed them. And every city will be destroyed in this way. And some of these have been rebuilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the Mecca is supposed to be the last city to be visited. So every city has had this divine destruction visited upon them, or at least every main city, every mother of cities, of settlements of the area gets this divine wrath. And that is the number one evidence outside of Muhammad's miraculous revelation for believing in him, that this is indisputable history that anyone can see. This is the testimony from archaeology that your eyes and hands can touch, that this is true.
Yeah, so understand this is an internal critique. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to say, well, I think it's true that Allah really does this or whatever. That's not the point. The point is that you're taking the source seriously, that then leads to a contradiction, creating a internal proof that the religion is incoherent and false. That's the idea. It doesn't matter whether you take it seriously or not. The way the argument works is, for the time being, you take the claims of the Quran seriously and you see where they lead to. Super chat from More K.
Holes in the narrative.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for that super chat. Cargo Crew said, scriptwriter of Islam didn't think through 2 to 3% rounding error as expected. No, all of Islam's incoherent. It's not that the intelligent scriptwriter made a few mistakes.
No,
right?
All of it. The whole thing has these things that Muhammad taught early in his career that are then completely contradicted by things later in his career. That contains tons of revisions within the text during its development, which means that it's authentically very early from the time of Muhammad. People don't create things that disprove their own prophet. They send the early teachings down the memory hole as much as possible. There is a false church called the Message. And in this church, a lot of the early stuff tried to be sent down the memory hole. And because they had the ability to edit things as they went along much more freely than the Qurans can. But then you go back to these early writings and you find the same kinds of conflicts because it was created in time as things developed. So in time, as things develop, stories change. This shows that it's historical.
Absolutely. Dingy says God is human. Now that is nonsense. Indeed. Saying God is a human would be nonsense. Thankfully, that's not what the Christian belief is, however. Christians believe that God became incarnate, added humanity to his existing divinity, not that he is by nature eternally human.
Yep.
We got Songs of Relief attempting to trigger a type of super chat that doesn't exist yet. Let's see what happens.
Can you just imagine giving £100 and it's a sadaqah jariyah, meaning it carries on going even when you are gone? Just imagine being in your grave and getting the rewards. In your grave, you will not be able to come back to this video to donate. So why not donate now?
I figured that's probably what we would do, is just go with the regular one. But thank you for the reminder. I need to put up that poll on what the next animal apologist should be.
Dolphin is
And,
totally going to be Ali Dawa, isn't it?
and I was going to say, you may have just gotten the dolphin apologist there. And remember to buy my prayer mats. It's okay if the voice isn't ready, just looking forward to it.
Perfect. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because a dolphin, like, what animal is more associated with a high-pitched squeaky voice than a dolphin? I mean, you do have the downside of dolphins being associated with intelligence, but
well, they're also associated with gang rape, so there's that as well.
Yeah, you got that too. Anyway, I'll put a poll up. I think that the choice will be either dolphin or peacock as your options there. Lambert says, hey, Mary, can I ask an unrelated question about the 1930s anti-Semitism in Western Europe? I told him I'd bring it up at the end. So your thoughts on the 1930s anti-Semitism?
Oh, well, what is the question about it? Oh, and for the person who's like, why the heck is Ali Dawa here? We make fun of the Dawa guys and their ridiculous begging for money with super chat videos. So
yeah, so Lambert, I did say that he could ask, and he didn't say anything after this.
So Inky, that's the answer to that.
It might just be, what are your thoughts on it? But if you could clarify, Lambert, I see you're still here. So if you could clarify, let us know what your question is.
Well, let us be very, very frank here. There has always been a good deal of tension and friction between Christianity and rabbinic Talmudic Judaism. And it began when the Jews tried to use the state to murder all the Christians, which they consistently did for 300 years. And it continued after Christianity became the official religion, and around 380 was when it was actually really the true religion of Rome. This friction continued, and now, for the most part, the Christians usually had the upper hand, so to speak. Jews lived in many of the cities of the Christians for much of this time. There were Jews in many of the cities. Conflicts would occur whenever there were wars between different groups of people, and the Jews picked sides and threw their weight behind one or another. If a different group won, the one the Jews put their weight behind, guess who got part of the hammer that came down? It would be the Jews, along with everyone else who was on that side. And people would remember, if you lost, who was stirring us up against these people, and then we lost. Well, the Jews were promising their trading connections and their borrowing and everything. The Jews were also allowed to lend to the Christians, and Christians, Jews, when they weren't allowed to lend to one another at interest. And so that also caused friction. They would also take jobs that were distasteful for Christians, such as terrorizing tenants for their rents, shaking people down, throwing them in debtor's prison, that kind of thing. The Talmud teaches a great deal of animosity towards non-rabbinic Jews, that they do not have the soul of a Jew, that they are lesser creatures, that they are, it would be good if terrible things happen to them. If you have a tricky contract that has this nasty clause in it, then you must tell another Jew that it's there, but you can go ahead and trick other people. So there are lots of reasons for there to be negativity between the two. And so, and yet the teaching of the popes in general, and then, a king comes along, king borrows a whole bunch of money from a bunch of Jews, and he doesn't want to repay it. What can he do? He can throw out the Jews.
Yeah, just one of those, right?
And that happened a number of times. So I don't have the money. All right, let's kick out the Jews. But now you have no one to loan you anything else. but you got rid of the debts that you have currently. So
Yep.
they would do that as well. That is quite well recorded as well. And so there is this animosity that is on both sides toward one another. The popes and the official position of the church was for a long time that the Jews are being punished by God right now, in that they have no place of their own, and therefore they are the strangers among you to be treated well. So good treatment of Jews was taught by the church consistently from early times.
Mhm.
What happens in the age of materialism, whenever you have realpolitik and people in power are no longer taking their Christian faith seriously? You still have all the resentment that you had before, and you have nothing that tempers it. You have nothing that says, look, God is punishing these people, and we are to be kind to them.
Mhm.
And we are to hope and pray for their salvation and for them coming into the body of Christ. And we are to show a certain level of hospitality toward them. All you have are 2,000 years of resentment on both sides, and guess who's the more dominant one?
Yep.
That would be the Europeans. So the anti-Semitism was extraordinarily prevalent in society everywhere, in the idea of hostility toward Jews because of this relationship, because of the roles that the Jews often took in society, are ones that it's one thing to have a landlord. It's another thing to have someone come to your house and terrorize you, that is an agent for the landlord, that the landlord may or may not even know particularly how they're getting the money out of you. Maybe they know. Maybe they know. Maybe they don't. And that caused a great deal of... And if something goes wrong in your society, if there is a serial killer in your little town, who are you going to be most likely to suspect? The people who you believe, someone among the people who you believe, are those who already have undying enmity toward you.
Mhm.
Those whom you have reason to believe have hatred for you, rather than some random whack job within your own community. You're more likely to point at them. It's similar to the reason why gypsies were killed by Hitler too, although in smaller numbers. If you know about gypsy society, you understand why people did not like them. They weren't... their behavior was far more abominable than the roles that some Jews took in society. The kinds of things that groups of gypsies did, because they came from India with the caste system. And they specifically came from castes that did things like kidnap and mutilate children as beggars. The reason why they joke about gypsies kidnapping people is that some gypsies were from these castes of beggar masters, where they literally would kidnap people and mutilate them as children and then abandon them whenever they didn't make as much money when they were older, because they're no longer got as much money from people who had pity on them. And by the way, this still happens today in India. It still happens today in China. Mutilating beggar children is unfortunately common thing. So there are reasons that there was a lot of animosity. Right. You take away the Christian teachings that you should show charity, generosity, judge each person on what they have done, rather than lumping them into behaviors that some people like them do. And you have a society that lashes out against them, especially if they are a small number and seem to be causing a great deal of harm in the society.
Exactly. Well put there, Mary. So Lambert did actually put the question in, but you've already answered it all there. I'm just going to add a couple thoughts that are in agreement with what Mary said. One is that any dictator, not just Hitler, but any dictator that comes to power and, commits crimes against a minority group is able to do so because they've tapped into pre-existing prejudice and hatred in society. A dictator doesn't come to power by not tapping into something that is already there. That doesn't excuse their behavior in any way, of course. It doesn't justify it in any way, but understand that it's not just one evil person acting out. It's a societal feature that they're able to tap in. And this was not unique to Germany. It was throughout Europe at the time. The other thing that I will say there is that this is a very human behavior. Obviously, it's not always Jews, but it is always a minority. Mary was giving another example there of the Gypsy people. And there may be some legitimacy to members of this downtrodden outside group committing crimes at a high rate. People in this chat may be thinking of a group that they would judge this way, i.e. Muslims in Western countries. But the Christian perspective is different, right? The world perspective is hate the outsider, blame the outsider for all of your problems. The Christian perspective is to love the outsider, love the other, love everyone as people created in the image of God, and judge each person based on their own actions and not traits that may be true in general of a group, but are not true of every individual in that group. And that's what I would hope that people here would do with our Muslim friends as well, right?
And here's the thing, like, I get annoyed at the people who want to focus on the points that are hysterical, the points of blood libel and other, like, the reason why they just made up these crazy stories. It's like, no. People made up crazy stories because there was already friction and animosity because real things happen. And when you deny that, what happens whenever someone actually learns history and learns what the relationships between groups are? They begin endorsing the most insane conspiracy theories. Because why? Because they were lied to about the actual issues that existed. So I don't sugarcoat things. I don't say nice things about any group just because a group was terribly victimized at one point in time. So again, like I said, like I totally said that yes, these behaviors or these economic roles and things and these professions, all of these things caused animosity and distrust. And there was a good reason for a lot of people to dislike specific individuals, which of course gets projected over the whole of the group. And when your rage builds up, if you blame someone, what's going to happen? Now, there were times and places where there was also massive animosity between townspeople and abusive members of a church. There was actually like a war, a civil war in part of England because of the misbehavior of a certain group of clergymen in the Middle Ages, because they could get away with not falling under the same laws as everybody else. You know, these things, and that's one of the things that bubbled up during the French Revolution, was the consistent abuses of many of the clergy in France whenever they had their revolution into anarchism, secularism, everything else. Many thousands of completely innocent nuns were raped to death. Like, it was bad. You have not been told 1/10 the horror that was the Reign of Terror. But these animosities had built up because things had happened, because there was this history. It wasn't just this incoherent rage that people had for no reason because they were making up lies.
Right. And again, this is very human behavior. It doesn't justify it in any way, but understand that you're not exempt from it, right? You potentially could be involved in committing atrocities against a group because of that group's past atrocities. But I want to say again that two things can be true at the same time. I'll use an example that we all know well, that most grooming gangs in the United Kingdom are run by Muslims. But at the same time, most Muslims in the United Kingdom are not members of a grooming gang, right? They both can be true at the same time. And we don't do ourselves any favor by denying the first one, but we also don't do ourselves any favor by denying the second one. And as Christians, we are called to treat all people as beautiful creatures created in the image of God, and to love them by telling them the truth that Islam is a horrific religion, but not by calling them names. Like, so obviously I sometimes will call people who come in here names, but it's after they've earned that label, right?
Yeah.
After they've defended pedophilia, then I might call them a pedophile or something, but I won't make that assumption, because the vast majority of Muslims are much better than their prophet and are not interested in committing pedophilia or defending it. And they live in, you know, a state where they believe two things simultaneously, which can't both be true. And that's how humans are. And how do you actually love them and take them out of that? You point out that contradiction and you take them out of the system that forces them into that contradiction, rather than just calling them horrible creatures that you hope go to hell or something along those lines.
And there is no basis for saying, by the way, that Hitler's favorite preacher is Martin Luther. Hitler was not Christian, and saw he was an atheist who saw religion as a tool, and he preferred a militaristic religion like Islam over any Christian religion because he thought it was effeminate. And also keep in mind, Martin Luther always spoke in very extreme terms, no matter what. He was everything was one extreme or a complete opposite extreme. He always spoke in extreme hyperbole. But also his last statements about Jews were made in a context where he had made previous statements and had previous dealings with people. And then he concluded that the people that he was dealing with were not sincere and were subversive and had been trying to trick him. So this is a very reaction of him to his particular circumstances. It was not a universal declaration from all time about every Jew ever. This was about his particular and again, not endorsing it, but what he said before was different than what he said after this series of interactions. It wasn't created in a vacuum, and it wasn't ever taught as, this is what Lutherans believe about Jews. This is something that happened.
Correct. It was never part of Lutheran teaching.
No,
right? It's never part of Lutheran teaching, and it's rejected by every Lutheran church today. But as Mary's saying, right, also there is context to it. It might not be quite what you think it would be. MS said Hitler was basically a pantheist. Mary called him an atheist. I would say like his beliefs were probably more like New Age mysticism, even though New Age mysticism didn't exist yet. But something along those lines.
Well,
but definitely not
it's Gnosticism. It's Gnosticism, where there's the development into the Superman. So you're moving through these stages, and it's kind of another spiritual reaction to Marxism, where you're developing into that's the climb into the Superman state, from debasement to the Übermensch, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take the last few super chats and such. Pan Schmantz. And I don't know why that didn't play. I thought it would. I should be able to trigger it manually. It might be because of the missing one from the dolphin. That might have screwed it up. I'm not sure what happened exactly, but I will manually
Yeah, and
play what I
Hitler, by the
think
way,
it is.
was not one of the pagan revivalists himself, but he was associated with a lot of pagan revivalists in the Nazi Party. He was more of a spiritual Übermensch thing than the pagan revival, because that would be going backwards in his mind. He wants to progress forward out of the religious norm into the new evolution of religion as the man rises to his full potential. So he is rejecting the current religion. The older religion is even more primitive. What there is now needs to be reformed into this new enlightenment type of thing, and again until we arrive at this final level is kind of where he was. Whereas other people in his group were kind of neo-pagans. Let's go back to the Germanic roots thing. So it's not like they all agree.
So this will either be the one we played earlier, or it'll be the correct one. Let's see.
I watched a musical called My Fair Lady. There was a song that said the rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. But I'd like to change those words to the Muslim raining will surely cause you pain.
Anyway, so the actual super chat here. The shin of Allah is mentioned. The hand of Allah is mentioned. Yes, indeed. Thank you for the super chat. And I'll see why that one didn't generate, if it's a problem with the goat, since all the ones that did generate were ape, or if it was just a random problem where the internet didn't connect when it tried to generate it or something. I'll figure that out, make sure it's working for next time. Cargo Crew pointed out quite correctly that not a single Muslim, and we did have about 5 of them come in, even attempted to address the subject, let alone provide a cogent defense. They have nothing. They had nothing. Understand that, audience, that this is an argument that Muslims do not know what to say about. Frog 1 with the member message.
Here's the sad news. We are running out of funds. All our work is going to stop unless people like you watching this video will help us. Your donations can get you a share in a reward. Reap those rewards for years to come, inshallah. This is not a donation or a charity, but an investment for your hereafter.
So don't spend money on the yeehaw. I don't know what the yeehaw is, but he didn't spend any money for that. Well, he sort of did because he's been a member for 5 months, but no additional money for that message. Thank you for being a supporter the last 5 months. And Burgundy says Talmud is kind of messed up, to which Talmudic Tunnels said, I just focus on the tunnels part. I'm not all that interested in the Talmud. I thought that was pretty funny there. Frog 1 with 5 gifted memberships. So this time he did spend money.
من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا? Who is gonna give Allah a good loan? Ya akhwati, this verse puts shame in my heart. My Lord is asking for a loan. Nothing's wrong with that guy. He has ability, but only a little bit of cash flow problems. Just needs a little bit of money right now. So give to Allah. Don't ask for anything back, guys.
Indeed. Don't ask for anything back.
And then Imao says that the idea that he's pantheist is based on Mein Kampf. He speaks of nature in such a way that suggests that nature was a deity that made up everything. And I can kind of see this, that it's this transcendent force that is not necessarily guiding in a sentient way, but causing the movement of the elect of the most superior race of each. You know, like you have the race of animals and men among the race of animals and the race, just like Muhammad, right? The most chosen among the people are the Arabs, the most chosen among them are this, and the most chosen among them are this, that they have this pattern toward perfection and this movement toward perfection that is under the force, a spiritual force, a purifying force. So I don't, Mouse says it would be pantheism with a person, but without a personal god. No, pantheism typically doesn't have a personal god.
Yeah,
so
pantheism doesn't have a personal god.
Yeah, so I would agree, but I would emphasize the role of transcendent distance of the force that's causing this to happen. So no, I wasn't disagreeing with you about the pantheism. I think that that's a fair point, that was kind of his idea, this Gnostic pantheistic kind of thing. But I think that there's a kind of detachment in a way of nature working through rather than being entirely unified with, if that makes sense. So that's just what I've
overall,
seen. I haven't studied anything in like really close detail with World War II because it's just so depressing. Sorry.
Fair enough.
It's less depressing than World War II. It's just so massively depressing. And all of the bad thinkers make me just so absolutely furious. But this kind of the opposing ideas of the fully mechanistic forces and Marxism versus a kind of more rarefied kind of force in that's sublime in the Nazi way of thinking. So that I see kind of a subliminity. Oh my goodness, I can't speak. I'm not going to try the word again. Anyway, in the Nazi thought that I didn't have, that I don't see in the Marxist one.
Yeah, fair enough. Long story short, Hitler's beliefs about the spiritual world or supernatural world, or however you want to put that, are complicated, but they are certainly not Christianity. So anyone who says he is a Christian are just completely off base on that. Frog One said that he's giving a loan to Allah and he's going to be rich as a result. Triggered the apple, and then he said he was reaping them apples. Indeed. Houston said we need to something added from Junior. I haven't watched the so-called debates with him. Maybe I can add him to the soundboard. My understanding is that he makes Ali Dawah look smart. Let's put it that way. So yeah, there might be some good sound bites there for sure. I'll look into it. John said only 3 dislikes. Amazing. Yes, Muslims forgot to hit the dislike button on this one, I guess. Phil says for those interested, DCCI should be live in about an hour. And that was like 5 or 10 minutes ago. I don't know if they're going live in 45 minutes or an hour or somewhere in between, but look for that if you're interested. I don't know what the topic is or anything. And then last one from Dingy Dong. I think Muslims came to the U.S. before Columbus, which is very strange that you put this comment in here, because I'm going to try to have a stream next week on a claim that Muslims did in fact come to the Americas before Christopher Columbus, before Vikings, that they got here first, other than, of course, the people who crossed the strait and from Alaska and came from Europe and became the Native Americans. Obviously, those people were here first, but there's apparently a story that a Muslim ship came to the Americas. I don't know specifically if it would be the United States portion, but somewhere in the Americas, long before Christopher Columbus.
And it's nonsense. It's a total lie. It's complete and utter
of course
stupidity.
It's a total lie.
The Chinese claim, we sailed to America too. Like, people who are ashamed of their own history try to steal other people's and trying to claim discovery of the Americas.
Yeah.
Money.
Yeah. There's stories about like there's a story about like a monk who did it. So a European monk. There's stories about Chinese people who did it. I mean, everyone wants to claim it. Legitimately, Columbus and Vikings, if you're going to count. Yeah, if you're going to count, like, the very northern parts of Canada, then Vikings were here first.
Well, there was actually a small amount of contact between some Pacific islands and certain areas of the coast of South America. It just didn't really have much impact in terms of like very, very, very limited contact. It had very little cultural impact on anybody. So it's mostly just ignored because it was minimal contact, did not really have much of an effect. So
absolutely. Anyway, I'm going to try to have a stream on that next week. Should be a very entertaining, joke-filled stream. Not a very serious subject, but should be a fun one. As Mary said, she has a video coming up very shortly on the academic fraud of Mel from Islamic origins. I have a couple videos coming up on our favorite false Christian, Sam Shamoon. A nice trailer with some greatest hits by Sam in it that is ready to go. That will be released probably tomorrow. And then a video on Sam doxing people coming early next week. Of course, we'll have some live streams as well, scheduled live streams Sunday night, US time. So Monday morning for the rest of the world on Kelly Powers' channel, The Berean Perspective. And you can find a link to that on my homepage as well. So lots of stuff coming up. Until we meet again, God bless everyone. And we'll close out with a prayer from Pastor Jake.
Pray this ceaselessly. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me.